clock here, so I'll get things underway and call this meeting to order for the City of Lacombe Council meeting, regular meeting for Tuesday, October 10th. Welcome everybody here. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Got a couple items to go through with our agendas with respect to the consent agenda. Are there any items anyone would like removed? And certainly if not, then we would need a motion one way or another. And Councillor Dallas.
Thank you. Motion to accept consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. And I expect that's up on your machines. Go ahead and do or vote now, please. And that item is unanimously approved. There we go. Thank you. The next one up is for the regular agenda. Councillor Hoekstra.
Thanks, Mayor Creasy. I move that we accept the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Last opportunity before we vote. Administration, any items overlooked that need to be put on the agenda? We're good. Wonderful. Appreciate that. Please go ahead and vote. That is unanimously in favor as well. That was interesting. So this evening we do have an open forum scheduled as well. And joining us today are Mr. Robert Sears and Jean Cheek, if I pronounce things correctly. And I understand that you're going to be speaking to us today on the construction at the corner of CNE Trail and Highway 12. You understand the rules. I would just remind you to start off by introducing yourselves, and please be sure to use the microphone for the benefit of those in the gallery and watching us at home. And you can engage that when the little red light comes on, you're live to go. It's just the black bar at the bottom of your unit. Very good. The floor is yours.
Thank you. My name is Robert Sears, and this is Jean Cheek, and we have other parishioners with us. And I'm the minister at St. Cyprian's Anglican Church, and we're here tonight to request that the city reconsider its plan to modify the intersection at Highway 12 and CNE. Our church sits at that intersection, and we believe the plans to install 4 left turn lanes and the removal of 16 parking spots will negatively affect our access to the church, diminish our viability, and ultimately lower our property value because it would be less useful for anyone, including ourselves. Now, our assumption coming here tonight is that our church is a valuable community organization in Lacombe. We've been in Lacombe for 125 years. Church was built in 1901, moved where it is now in 1948. We've been there for 75 years. And like local downtown businesses, we have traditionally depended on street parking all that time with no challenges, direction, otherwise from the city. The current plan removes 50% of our spots that are contiguous to our front property. No, we don't think we own the land, the road, but 50% of parking. That's a lot, I think. The additional 13 spots lost on the neighboring intersections is significant. And if this goes through unchanged, it'll hurt us. So that's why we're here. A few questions of process that I have. Was there a public consultation on this? We weren't aware of one. Second, was there a detailed traffic analysis done? If there was, it's been hard to find. I was told about the Lacombe Police Services report on their concerns and the accidents from various years. I went to them to get a record of the accident so I could look at what is being decided on. And they said, no, go talk to the city. So I called and I got put to voicemail. Apparently, at least the person I talked to thought perhaps we need to check the legality of sharing such information to the public. To me, it's at the heart of this. I'm still waiting on a call back. Third, how did the city evaluate the potential negative impacts of the plan? Like what was considered? I don't know. I haven't heard. So a general question, are churches valued equally as other community groups and businesses? What's the hierarchy here? How do you get heard? I don't know. I'm here, I'm speaking, trying to get heard. I don't know how you guys process that. I don't know if we rate. I looked at a few of our documents and churches aren't even mentioned in some of them. Wholly other issue. But I think the issue is how do we weigh road safety concerns and community group access and viability? I think that's a tough question. And we share the view, obviously, that safety is a good thing. But all four directions, do they have the same level of problem? It's seriously hard to think that's the case. A detailed traffic analysis would show where the problems are, what the flows are, what the accidents were. One of the accidents was someone who fell asleep and drove into our sign. Left turn lanes won't solve that. I like elegant engineering solutions, but if the only real problem are left turn lanes on Highway 12, like at 58th Street, then we could actually save on parking losses by modifying the plan. And I would think that the less ongoing, severe, and manageable the past accidents were, then the more the negative impact on the community should be weighed in the assessment. And I tried to look at that, but I couldn't find any facts. Anyways, that's all I have for that. Want to go on. I also want WONT to go on longer than 5, but thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you for that. As I'm sure you are aware, sometimes with the public forums, it's difficult to have all the information immediately at our fingertips if we don't know what is necessarily the ask or what's going to be brought forward. So we'll certainly, I can guarantee you that there will be somebody from administration will be contacting you with some of those answers. As to what those answers may be at this time, I have no idea. I was a little confused when you said that you had contacted someone here at the city and were directed to voicemail, but then you said you had a conversation with them, but they didn't get back to you. Perhaps you could just clarify that part for me.
So that was the front desk. Now it was sent to, I forget who, I have to check my notes, but someone in charge of legal matters. Because the question was whether that information should be shared. So I'll have to message detailing that we'd be here and that we wanted to talk about these things and get the information so that we could say more. This I've been asking about more.
Okay.
And I haven't heard back, that's all.
Very good. And do you have an approximate time frame when this may have been?
A week ago, week and a half. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Appreciate that. So I know what we're dealing with, but we'll certainly look into it because I'm not prepared to give you any answers tonight, but we appreciate you bringing your issue forward so we can look into it deeper, and you can expect a call from administration. All right, thank you. Did any other council members have any questions? I don't see any lights on. Very good. So we had no items removed from our consent agenda. Therefore, I think we can move into presentations. And I know we were waiting on some individuals to join electronically. Do we have those arrangements have been made yet, Coordinator Bellabono, or are we waiting for them to show in person?
Yes, Mayor Creasy, I believe the presentations don't start until 6.
Oh, that would be a problem then. That's why we're a little early. And the first portion of our presentation contingent is here. However, I think that we've probably got time for an RFD for a request for decision on item 6. Would the franchise fee rate run through be an appropriate one to go to? CAO Gowdy? Director Piché, you're prepared? Wonderful. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy, and good evening, Council. Before Council this evening is the annual review of the city's franchise fees with ATCO Gas and FortisAlberta. When utility companies install the infrastructure for their service, there's often an agreement put in place where the municipality will receive a percentage of distribution and transmission rates at the exchange for use of the right-of-way access. The Alberta Utilities Commission has capped those rates at a percentage of franchise fees to 35% for natural gas and 20% for electricity. It should be noted that the city has maintained its current rates in 2022 and 2023 as there were no changes last year. The current rates are 27.75% for ATCO Gas and 17.13% for FortisAlberta Electricity. At these rates, the city will receive approximately $1,065,549 in revenue from ATCO and $1,549,483 in revenue from FortisAlberta. Even though these revenues are considerable, the natural gas rate is less than what we normally would see, as ATCO Gas has estimated a lower amount of delivery tariffs for 2024. This results in a decrease of revenue that the city would normally recognize of $55,380. However, electricity would see an increase still of $50,233 at the current rate for 2024. However, each year, administration reviews its rates amongst its municipal comparators and calculates it as at the median rate. And the median rates being proposed for 2024 is 29.75% for natural gas and 17.63% for electricity. The table starting on page 2, or the second page of the memo, reflects the comparisons. The change in rates will result in an increase of $76,800 for natural gas and $45,227 for electricity in additional revenue, should we change to those other rates. The effect this has per household is an average of an annual increase of $11.71 for natural gas and $14.21 for electricity. Administration is recommending that Council sets the 2024 natural gas franchise fee rate at 29.75% and the 2024 electricity franchise fee rate at 17.63%, which are the median rates of the city's municipal comparators. If there are any questions at this time, I'm happy to take them.
Thank you, Director Piché. Councillor Hibbs?
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. I've been thinking about these rates a lot as of late for some reason, and it dawned on me that when we do our, other utilities like water, for example, they're meant to be self-sustaining. We're charging as much as we're needing to cover the costs. I know there's a word for it, but it's escaping me right this moment. And I realize, I've had to explain in the past, why we charge franchise fees, kind of like, what the purpose of them. And it really started making me think what in fact is the purpose of them. They are just revenue for the city. But I was thinking that's great. I don't have a problem necessarily with that. But I actually think that we could direct that more specifically. So I was wondering, we have a problem in the downtown area in particular with lighting. It's at a deficit. We don't have enough. There's not the standard amount of lights on streets that there should be. There are whole streets that don't have lights at all. And I'm just wondering, why are we not directing at least part of this electricity franchise fee, for example, to build up a reserve. I know we talked about that last time, that's kind of a thing we don't necessarily want to get into, but we have, like, we've had a presentation to council before on what it would cost to upgrade the lighting downtown so that it was more in line with what the rest of the city has. It's big dollars, like big dollars. And we're just not going to get around to doing that if we don't start doing something about it. So I had the mind that, why are we not directing at least a portion of this, if not it in its entirety, towards building up a fund that would cover off that infrastructure? Because to me, that would be a really good reason why would we be collecting these dollars. But right now we just, as far as I know, just put it into general operations. And while that's still a good thing, I think we could do better. So I'm just putting it out there, has the city ever considered that in the past? And if not, then I would like to see us consider that.
Thank you. So yeah, I think the term that we use here is cost recovery basis, and that's how our internal utilities operate. A little bit different for a public utility, but food for thought in any event. Councillor Gullickson.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. I don't mind the idea that Councillor Hibbs has, except I think we want to do that. Let's do the same thing we did with the paving. Let's put a 1% tax out there and have it directed to that project. Because all this is a tax. We're taxing our citizens. There's nothing, you can call it a franchise fee, you can say all the things you want. It's a direct tax on our citizens for that amount of money. And I think we should be more transparent and have it part of our property tax and not in franchise fees for either of these utilities.
I couldn't agree with you more. However, I think it would be an initiative that would be better if it was province-wide, so that we could all be open and honest about where these funds are going, not just one community, because as was clearly shown here, we are certainly in the bottom half, and right now well into the bottom half of all of our comparators. But you're 100% right. It is, in fact, is another tax. You can't sugarcoat that. Councillor Dallas.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. Would I be able to hear what CAO Gowdy has to say before I speak? In case he's going to answer a question that I'm going to repeat.
I see no reason why we couldn't.
Thank you.
Chief Gowdy.
So while it is municipal revenue, I would say there is some important differentiations between a tax and the franchise fee. So for example, provincial properties or tax exempt properties, which do have a demand on services, hospitals, seniors housing, things like that, they do not pay municipal tax, but they do contribute to the municipal revenue through franchise fees. And that's why many municipalities have chosen to move ahead with them, especially when you have declining revenues from the grant in lieu of property taxes, which the province has cut by half over the last few years. This is one way that you can still look to recoup some of your costs from provincially owned structures.
Thank you for that. Councillor Dallas.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy, and thank you, CAO Gowdy. That did, in fact, answer some of my questions. I'm looking at this the exact same way. I look at my energy account, and 10% or more is just the franchise fees. And so, in my mind, is every time we raise these, it's what's the difference between that or raising property tax? But you answered that for me, so I appreciate that. And I just, it's a difficult way to see it, and I think it's complicated, but I will be in favor of increasing it. Thank you.
Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. We'll go ahead and make the motion that council sets the 2024 natural gas franchise fee rate for the city of Lacombe at 29.75%.
Thank you. Councillor Gullickson.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. One of the problems with franchise fees, especially like this year, for an example, they're calling for an El Nino winter. You're saying that the revenues will be $1.14 million and quite possibly not, depending on the amount of natural gas used. It's kind of an unsure way of collecting those fees, but I will not be voting for this. I feel that this is a tax that we're just getting somebody else to collect for us. And I mean, you look at Fort Saskatchewan, there are zeros across the board. I wish everybody in the province was like that and just collected their funds through property taxes.
Yes, unfortunately, we don't all have quite the same makeup of tax base that Fort Saskatchewan does. However, as much as I appreciate the explanation for the difference between provincially and federally owned structures within the city, I think that if we're being realistic, the overall amount is extremely low for the total of the provincial based portion of those franchise fees. In saying that, I think that if we're being realistic, we all know that the dollars have to come from somewhere to fulfill our obligations to the city of Lacombe. So whether it comes from franchise fees or taxation or reduction in services, they do have to come from somewhere. So that's why, as much as I do not like increasing these, I feel obligated to continue on the path that we've strived for and be middle of the road amongst our comparators, reluctantly. Anyone else? Okay, I think you've got a vote before you there for the natural gas franchise fees, so please go ahead and vote. That is 6-1. Appreciate your reasoning, Councillor Gullickson. Councillor Hoekstra.
Thanks, Mayor Creasy. I'll move that council sets the 2024 electricity franchise fee rate FortisAlberta for the city of Lacombe at 17.63%.
Thank you. And for those watching at home, Chief Gowdy, could you remind us the overall amounts for that item and the differential in the increase?
I certainly could, but I'm gonna let Director Piché handle this one if that's all right with you.
Certainly.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. So you're looking for the amounts of revenue and then the differences to what it's going to be?
Correct.
For sure. Okay. So the approximate rate that the city will receive from ATCO gas is $1,065,549. And with that increase of 2%, we will receive an additional $76,800. For electricity, at the current rate, electricity will be at $1,549,483 at the current rate. And with a change of rate, it would then go up. We would increase the revenue to increase the revenue by $45,227.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I see no other lights on, so please go ahead and vote. And similarly, I think there was 5, 4, and 2 against. Councillors Hibbs and Gullickson were nays. Thank you. So, Director Piché, with respect to the bylaw 78 draft, do you have an approximation on time frame for that?
It is going through the entire bylaw section by section. I could try to go through it quickly if you'd like.
Right, I was just thinking to accommodate our guest here this evening that it's okay. Since I see that as it's taking a little more time. Not that we need to be right down to the second for the presentations to begin, but I would like to be close. So perhaps we'll move on to an item brought back to us again from September 25th, item 6.3 for notice of the motion from Councillor Hibbs. And if you've got that item in front of you, Councillor Hibbs, I'll have you begin by reading it for everyone, and then the floor is yours to talk on it.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. As I brought notice of motion at the last meeting and now for debate, I move that council direct administration to develop for council's consideration amendments to the land use bylaw, community standards bylaw, or other bylaws may be appropriate to regulate and limit the use of residential properties for material storage and transfer. And I may go ahead and speak.
Certainly.
Thank you. So this actually is part of a bit of a theme that I've had residents coming to me with various bylaw issues. They've had concerns with residential properties being used as business operations, essentially, generally speaking, not related in any way to any home occupancy. One specific case, however, was really egregious in my mind, and I actually brought that to the attention of administration, and that was following the residents already trying to go through bylaw with this. So I just want to be clear on that, that it was attempted to go through the usual channels. Unfortunately, they were told that the activities that were happening at this specific property were not in contravention of the bylaw because essentially bylaw hadn't considered this, our bylaws hadn't considered this as being an issue, hadn't contemplated it. So it wasn't actually covered in the bylaw. And so in this specific situation, we have a residential property that is not currently developed, so it's bare, and it's being used to store materials from other work sites within the community. I don't want to get into too great of a detail as to this specific lot, but it does represent sort of, again, an overall theme where you have a residential area that is now subject to being used as storage, not the intended use as a residence, and there is no time limit on it. There's no restrictions as to what they can place there. Essentially, as long as there's not weeds growing, you can pretty much put whatever you want, wherever you want, as long as the property owner themselves are in agreement. And I think that is a huge overreach and highly inappropriate for a residential area. Can you imagine if across the street from you is being used as a storage yard for construction materials on an ongoing basis, and there's no limitations, there's no expectations that that activity will stop? It could potentially go on indefinitely. So that is a huge burden for those neighbors to carry, an unfair disadvantage, unfortunately. Then there's also the consideration that the infrastructure is getting beat up because, sidewalks were not meant to be going ridden across by, dump trucks on a 20-minute cycle over and over and over again, dropping product off, picking product up. I did bring in a little visual sample here. Like this is on the road from this activity in a residential area. This happens to be on a busy road as well, but like that is not acceptable. When you're building a house or something, that will go on for a relatively short period of time. It's a pain in the butt. Everybody hates construction. I get it. But then the project's over. You have a finished house. Everything gets put back together again and they move on to another site. That will not happen on this property that I'm discussing because until a development happens, which there's no imminent plans for that I'm aware of, it will just continue to be used as a dump ground, and where product is brought in, taken off, put back on again, and continually piled up. So I would like to see that administration can bring forward some bylaw amendments that would address this situation, that would control it. I get it. I want to be developer friendly so that we're not like outlawing and totally making everything difficult. But consideration has to be made for the residents. It can't be totally for the developers to take advantage of because it's practical and suitable for their purposes, but not for the residents. So that's what this motion is asking, and I would very much appreciate support from council to make that happen.
Thank you. I don't see any lights on right now, so I guess I don't want to mislead the public and suggest that we do not have any rules and regulations surrounding construction items and stuff on residential properties. However, obviously you mentioned an instance where this has not in fact been the case, and I'm just wondering if this is an enforcement issue, or is there just one specific kind of item that isn't being looked after here? Because as I said, our nuisance properties and whatnot do clearly identify construction materials and the removal of them. So I just want to make sure that we're sending administration in the right direction.
Thank you. I mean, I guess I could let administration answer that, but in the correspondence that I've seen initially from bylaw to the residents that complained, and then my follow-up to administration asking probably about 10 very specific questions, both about this property and then about things in general. There was just not enough clarity as to, what you can and can't put on a property, how long you can store it. There's no rules on length of time. So that is really at the grain of it. The problem with why I brought this forward is there's just no limitations. If it's not prohibited, then it's considered okay and it can just go on indefinitely. And so again, I just want to reiterate how of a burden this is on the residents. They're constantly dealing with the traffic in and out, the noise of it, the banging and clanging. You've got bobcats moving things all around, and for no benefit on that actual property. It's simply being used as storage indefinitely.
Okay, so I'm not sure this is a communication issue there, because I just had an opportunity just to look up on my machine on about our nuisance bylaw and unsightly premises, item 2.31, item number 1, any land upon which there is an excessive, unusual, or unreasonable accumulation of animal waste, yard material, building material, and then goes on to list a bunch of other things. So I would suggest that aggregates are building materials. Perhaps, do we need some further clarification? Perhaps I'm wrong, but it seems odd that it wouldn't be in there. There might be some interpretation issues with this particular policy that needs some enhancement. I'm not. Chief Gowdy, could you talk to that for us, please?
For sure. So I don't think it's actually an excessive amount at any one time. So for example, if you were in, and I'm speaking to the specific situation that has really given rise to this, if you were in a new subdivision, for example, it's very common for a builder to dig their basement, place it on the undeveloped lot beside, and then once they're done their construction, regrade and do some finishing grade and on they go. And that might happen on an ongoing basis in a new development. What we have here is a situation with infill development, and so that's why it's kind of novel for us, where a developer has multiple projects and anticipates having multiple projects over the next short and medium term, and is using this site very rationally as the nearest available site to stockpile in support of these various builds around the area. And of course, it's in a built-up area. And so while it may be reasonable that once in 5 years, this lot is used intermittently for some sort of transfer of material while a nearby build goes on. In this instance, it's not intermittent use. It's the duration really, I think, that is the issue. That residents, it's not like a day one, we were getting calls to say, hey, this is unreasonable. They were patient. They understood, well, development happens, construction occurs, but then it went on and on and on. And when we reached out to the developer, they've been fine to work with. And they said, well, yeah, we want to minimize our haul distances. We don't want to be hauling dirt through all these different neighborhoods and all over the city. So we want to, for affordability reasons as well. So, obviously it's cheaper for us. We plan on continuing to use that site for support of multiple developments. And that's where, in talking with Councillor Hibbs, we said, well, one of the things that if you wanted to regulate this, you could look at would be to say, well, maybe there is a time duration or a frequency duration or some sort of definition of what is a reasonable use. Because like I say, I don't think it's the amount or even the type of materials that are on site, because those frequently appear in new developments, and that's a normal business practice. We don't require development permits for temporary storage of materials while you're digging a basement or something. And so we said, well, maybe you regulate, either you could, the heavy-handed route, I think, would be to say, well, now a development permit is required for any sort of stockpiling, or a more gentle approach would be to say, well, here's the definition of what's unreasonable and where we will go and contact that owner or user of the property and say, no, it's too much. You're negatively impacting the nearby residents' ability to peacefully enjoy their property beyond what's a reasonable expectation.
Thank you for that. And I think that seems reasonable. I took this to mean precisely what you just outlined, because I would suggest that there is an unreasonable amount or excessive or unusual amount of material being put on any residential lot that has no plans of development. There's no reason for it to be there at all. So it is unusual and unreasonable. Obviously, that's an interpretation item. So if there's ways that we can clarify that, that's great. I'm just, quite frankly, a little surprised that this doesn't cover it already. Obviously, it doesn't. This wouldn't have come to us, but yeah, I would like to see this current version being tested and the ticket given already myself, but see no other lights on, so I will call the question. Please go ahead and vote. And that item is 6 in favor and 1 against. Councillor Gluckson posted that particular motion. Thank you. It is now 8 minutes past 6. So I think we'll call upon our first presenters. Always a pleasure to have our friends here from FCSS. And I think that tonight we just have 2 individuals joining us who are no stranger to this room. Crystal Zenz, the Executive Director of FCSS, and one of our co-chairs, Deb Salmon. Welcome to you both. Appreciate you coming. Obviously, your co-chair partner was unable to join us, Sally Winnick. Okay. Very good. I'll just have you use the microphone, and whenever you're prepared to start, the floor is yours. There you go.
I'm on. Excellent. Well, thank you, Mayor Creasy and Council for this opportunity to share about our programs and speak to our budget. We are excited to be here in person with all the technology and its glory. Thank you for your patience last year. That was interesting to do it from a different country. So, yeah, so thank you to Deb for joining me today, and she will be able to join me in the Q&A session at the end of it, right? I can't say no that I said that now. But I just want to first share just a note of appreciation to all the board of directors who have worked tirelessly to work through a lot of things the last couple of years, a new strategic plan, aligning our programs with the new accountability framework with FCSS of Alberta, and lots of different accomplishments that we've achieved together as a group. Also, we couldn't have done any of this without many, many volunteers that make all of our programs happen, and our wonderful staff team that put their heart and soul into all the programs as well. We have lots of 2023 highlights to date. Some of the ones that we've highlighted, am I supposed to be changing that, or I can click it somewhere? Ooh, this is fun. Just press it. This is the littlest mouse I've ever used. Denise, you should just sit here. And I'm on a timer. Matt, this is your timer that you like. That's okay. I'll keep talking while she's working on that. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's just the overview. Now I need to click again. Just keep going.
I think she was right click.
Oh, whoa, whoa. Okay. This is just a little introduction. Let's see, where am I now that I bounced around? Let's see. I should end on thanking the City of Lacombe for being so incredibly supportive. Our province of Alberta has also been supportive. And I'd also like to give a huge shout out to the administration team at the city for always including myself, piggybacking any of our staff on trainings if they have any openings, and Matt, our IT savior over there. And even coming to the manager meetings, I get so much out of them. I'm up to date on all of the new government things that we have to do with human resources and just strategies to help lead the organization better, as well as building mentorship at that level too. So I really appreciate all those opportunities that are provided to us. Some of our exciting achievements, we brought back the Volunteer Awards Night, and that was super exciting. We had good sponsorship, but also looking forward to collaborating with the city and joining forces to not duplicate it, but even make it a bigger, more accessible event for all community volunteers. Some of our recent strategic plan highlights, we built the new strategic plan with our community needs in mind, as well as our strategic framework from the province. Our staff worked diligently on it for a few workshops, and then we joined together with the board. So we got to build it right from the bottom up. And it feels so good to have one that is new post-COVID, because everything's changed. Our funding structure has changed, and a lot of the community needs has changed. So I won't just read it off, but that is our new mission vision. And the new FCSS of Alberta mission is Stronger Together. As you can see, lots of our staff and volunteers wearing that on their sweatshirts. Some of the strategic plan highlights, there's 3 main pillars that have been defined: marketing and communication. This is to raise visibility, improve how we collaborate and communicate with the people we serve. And infrastructure and stability, that's always probably the most important one, making sure we're fiscally responsible and have a strong future. Community collaborations, this was an area that was identified through our community and with our own staff and board teams that we need to build better community collaborations. One great example of this is the new community hub that we're leading. We're having our first training November 1st. Many other communities run community hubs where they work cohesively together to help individuals and families in crisis instead of just bouncing them back and forth from agency to agency. And Connects. So lots of great things happening with Connects. It's busier than ever, and we're trying to really diversify the usage. Maybe it was throughout COVID, it was really streamlined to just senior programs. And so by diversifying it, we're trying to get all ages and stages of life with not only transportation barriers, but be accessible to other organizations and really modernize the needs of Connects. For example, twice a month, we have community members sign up to go to the Alberta Works building. There's a drop-in help center there so people can get help with their income support applications or their AISH applications or things that they're struggling with to keep those up to date. So far, every trip has had people on it and they've had great success. So we're no longer the middleman. The people can get help right from that designated office. So, and then of course, all the other needs, it's a very busy, all 3 buses are very busy and very active, and we've increased our drivers a little bit to meet that demand as well. One of the newest collaboration we're working on is with Echo Lacombe to pick up people that have transportation barriers, bring them to the Echo food pickup, and then take them home. So that will be new, and we're hoping to launch that in November as well, which will be good because it's winter and people aren't, well, unless we have an El Nino, like Dawn said, that was great news. Then it's a little easier to walk in winter. But this is an interesting snapshot of the usage of Connects. And Guy and I are always, like, I'm always going to use for help on Connects because I've never had transportation under me. So I'm always asking for advice and how to make it more diverse and work in collaboration with our neighboring communities and that sort of thing. Our program growth, so this is just some of our programs. We have about 45 programs, so we just took a few snapshots of a few of them. I have permission from some of our advocate clients. This is Anne. Anne's been a client of ours for about 20 years. We help Anne through home support, Meals on Wheels, and she's a favorite on the Connects bus. I don't know if we're allowed to say that, but she recently moved to Sylvan and had a really hard time leaving our staff. They're kind of a branch of her family now. So we got a call yesterday from Sylvan FCSS. They just wanted to make sure that we knew Anne's new phone number because she's really worried we didn't have her phone number. So that's how incredibly connected our team gets with our community members. So that this is our reception calls and walk-ins. So it's good to reflect here too. And maybe I should have talked to Matt about how to fix this problem. But if people bypass and go right to the extension, we don't capture those stats. It's only if it lands at the reception desk. So that's still an incredible growth without even collecting the 308 to connect stat. Our Meals on Wheels, our frozen meals have really taken off. They're incredible growth. We actually have a hot meals crisis. They quit making our containers, and the lodge is having a real struggle finding proper containers to put our meals in that are appropriate for heat, cold, and transportation. So we may see a transition in our meals going just to frozen if we can't replace those containers. And then our backyard friends, of course, we didn't have it in 2021 due to COVID, and it's exploded. So usually it's standing room only, and I think we had 310 guests last month. So with that, the groceries have also doubled. So with the population and the groceries, and all our volunteers say it's double the dishes, so they're not getting home very early. And so we're really trying to work through the growing pains of our Backyard Friends Community Supper. I think many of you have been to it. It's a very special event where it's everybody from all walks of life. We have doctors and single moms and people that are struggling with housing issues and seniors that are just really lonely, and seeing them at a table playing cards with, you know, an 8-year-old, that's a pretty special thing in our community. And we have a lot of church dedicated volunteers to this. So we are going to do everything we can to save it. This is our last month of that we have funding for it. So we're out trying to pound the pavement and find more funding. Deb asked why we're serving pancakes next month, because it's cheaper. So we're trying to squeeze every last bit out of it to get to our November one. And then the Bethel Church does the Christmas community dinner. So we get a reprieve there. Our growth for Tools for Schools has stayed steady. We had quite a bit of growth between 2021 and 2022, not so much this year, but the donations kept up, and we do have a reserve for Tools for School. It's a very healthy and supported program in our city. And our Coats for Kids exploded. And the neat thing about Coats for Kids is that all the donations stay local. So now we have memorandums of understanding with Red Apple, PV Mart, and Red Sports. So there's a bit of choice in how much you spend and where you spend your dollar, but they're all of those certificates are unique to those local communities. You can't use them in Red Deer or any other community. So all the donations get injected right back into our city. Home support, that's on its steady. And if for anyone else questioning home support, I wasn't sure why we cleaned houses when I came to FCSS, to be completely honest. Why we didn't just subsidize Molly maids or something like that. So I did make a real effort to job shadow in each program, and I try to do that every fall. And I went to a few home support visits, and then I understood why we did home support. Many of the seniors have arthritis in their back, or they have mobility issues, but otherwise they can fully stay in their own space, and they're so happy because they're living independently. It's a lot cheaper for the government not to build all the facilities that have to house, but more that they're happier to be in their own home. They just have some struggles with mobility and that sort of thing. So it is a really crucial program to aging happy in Lacombe, for sure. It's a very critical program. Our seniors events, if anybody follows us on Facebook, our theater was crazily full. I was actually in a meeting of a Wetaskiwin. I was getting an emergency call that we were seating people on the stairs. So we loaded them, and we had to remove some people. We had too many people. So next year we'll have 2 theaters. So that those stats exploded too. So I think our senior programs are very strong. And unfortunately, some people didn't get to see the movie RV, but we can't sit on the stairs. So our Connect stats, they've seen a steady growth as well as we increase and diversify our ridership and our partners. I think that will continue to grow. And that's just a long, drawn out description of our financial overview, but we are in a healthy position. For many years, we brought forth a deficit budget. This year, we're bringing a balanced budget. And one of my first days was meeting with our accountant, who is our auditor, and gave me some strong warnings about the trends of our agency. One, we had lost ParentLink, and the correction didn't really happen because we had an influx of COVID grants. I call it the COVID gravy train that did come to an end, and it kind of replaced that administration money that we used to get to operate ParentLink. So there was some tough roads coming and some restructuring that may need to be done in order to have a healthy financial future, because we couldn't just keep going into a deficit every year. So that was like my 3rd day of work. So, but we've really done well with our fundraising, our donorship, and the province and the city have been very supportive, as well as the province portion went up this year for the next 3-year funding agreement. This is miniature, so I'm hoping it's all in and Matt's timer's in my final number. Do you like how I call it your timer? So anyways, but if you can read your copy, then you can see kind of where our ask is. We actually have, our ask is the same as last year. We are bracing for a 4% COLA increase due to food costs for our programs, and our staff got less than 3% increase last year. So the cost of living hasn't really kept up. A lot of our newer staff has started at a lower base rate. Our agency is lacking pay grid, so our board has that on the agenda to work towards a new pay grid, so we have something to work off of, as well as I should also say our board or our agency is without an operational policy manual. This is the 4th agency I've been a director of, and I've never operated a charity without an operation policy manual. So that is on our to-do list. It's a big to-do list. And we just went through a technology transformation, which the accountant also advised to stop handwriting tax receipts and go digital. So we've had a lot of big projects, and we're kind of taking them off one at a time. I think, sorry, Denise, I updated the slides and then I probably sent them to you, but you're probably sitting in here. But I just also wanted to highlight our donation growth, which is on my new slides. Let's see. So our program donations, oh, this isn't even my cheat sheet. It's on page 12, Deb. So we've had quite an uptick in donations and sponsorship, and I think it's how we are structuring some of our programs. Generally, a lot of our donations went right to the programs that we take in and give out. We usually will take 10% for administration. So if you give $100 to fill a fridge, we take $10 for administration and give out 90. But we've restructured to operate more like a charity. So if we have Tools for School, we have level sponsorship, we have corporate partners, they get naming rights and that sort of thing. So that's definitely increased our revenue. In 2021, the donations were $47,000. In 2022, they were $76,000. So that was up 30,000. We're on track to even hit a little higher than that for the end of this year. So just diversifying our different ways we have relationships with donors too has improved and helped, and we're bracing for what could be a tougher year for donations when groceries are this high and our community is hard hit by inflation. Then so may be our donations too. Is there any questions about the budget itself now that we're at that page? Can everybody read it? Is it big enough? So the one thing with our growth spurts will also be a realignment of what are our resources to absorb and address it and deliver our programs with strength. So over this year will be our first year moving forward with our new charter accounts and our new alignment with the accountability framework. So I think this year will be a real year where we keep our eye on how everybody's doing and how the team is doing, how the volunteers are doing. Are we keeping up to the demand and the growing needs of our community, for sure?
So I had one quick question for you. In the documentation that I have, it says that last year, $580,000 went to FCSS through the city. The current request I've got listed as 0. I'm assuming that's a typo and it's intended to be the same.
Is that in my book?
This was on the Tacoma District FCSS application information sheet we have here. And then
Uh,
next year is intended to be at about 610,000.
So ours would be page 16. I have to look at that document. So in the budget presentation on page 16, the province's portion is 332.2, and the city matching would be $83,055. And then the over contribution went down a little bit because your city matching went up. So we just did the difference. So it's the exact same as last year. The city over contribution, which we are also so grateful for, is almost 49,000. Connects is 94,860. And again, the community grant request, which we vet and filter out to other community organizations through a granting process, stayed at 45,000.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
My apologies if that other document was incorrect.
Does council have any questions? Councillor Kotick?
Sorry, I'm just trying to clarify these sheets myself.
That's okay.
So last year's, the second sheet is last year's, and the first sheet is this year's. So
I didn't bring that document.
no, it's just supplied to us, but I'm just looking for. So as the mayor's alluded to, the total operational request is 593,142. But on the first page, it's 589,14. Can you, CL guy, just give a little. I'm just, for all of them, in fact, I'm just wondering if the first page is the one we're considering, the second.
The first page is the one you're considering. The second page is just so that you can compare some of the organization's core services and their annual goals that were stated last year, so that you have those before you. But if I direct you to the first page on the FCSS one, for example, the confusion here is that when this was received, Crystal was way ahead of the game. Great.
It was too early.
But the FCSS had not actually finalized their budget yet. That was coming September 20th. And they anticipated a 4% increase, which they have stuck to. So that's the confusion here. The capital side there, out of the zeros that worship had
I see the difference. Thank you.
is actually just their capital requests. And so those are not zero. Yeah, sure.
That makes far better sense. I didn't see the line in between the two to delineate the capital from the operational. So that makes way better sense.
Forgot about that form, to be honest. I should have brought
It's all
it.
good. It's all good. Anyone else? Well, we certainly do appreciate your creativity and keeping an important organization or community financially viable and delivering your programs and services in such a great way. We hear a lot of compliments through City Hall about the work that you and your volunteers do, and we do certainly appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Before you leave, I think that Councillor Hoekstra has a question for you.
Sure. Just a tiny question. Thank you for the presentation. It's excellent. A fence around the garden.
Oh,
Will
yeah.
it genuinely keep people out? Like,
I don't know.
I don't know. I
We
just
have
was,
some trauma at our gardeners have some trauma right
yeah.
now. So we had a lot of vandalism, and it could be people in need, but it looked like a lot of just destruction sometimes.
Yeah.
And has anyone ever babysat a garden there? It is insane how much work they do. And so you have to fill up the whole watering can and walk to the other side. And I do that like 50 times to water this garden. So I understand their pain. Many communities, they are fenced in, and some look really beautiful and some look like they just put up a snow fence.
Right.
So it was a deep demand from all 52 of our gardeners that we look at getting a fence. So that did make it into my presentation.
Mhm.
But lots of people lost all of their fruits of their labor this year, which is really heartbreaking. Mhm. Yeah, and they did phone the police almost every time. The one time I went to check the gardens, but the police were there for an accident, not for my gardens. But yeah, so we will explore that more. I'll meet with Guy. Oh, he always has good ideas. Any other questions?
I see none. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next up is the Mary C. Public Library, and we've got our head librarian, Christina Petrosor. Thank you for joining us, along with board chair, Linda Nichols. We appreciate you both being here. You've obviously been here before and how to use the microphone, so please go ahead and start your presentation.
All right. Magic.
I don't want to sit too close to her.
Magic. All right, so we're very happy to be here and thank you very much for the invitation again. We're very pleased to present to you some highlights of our year. And we'll right into it, which is this one, right? Have I got it? No? There we go. Okay. So just a reminder of our plan of service, which runs from 2022 to 2025. We have three strategic pillars: create young readers, early literacy specifically, visiting a comfortable place, that would be physically and virtually, and satisfying curiosity, lifelong learning. Libraries are one of the institutions that provide a remarkably broad array of critical supports to our community, including knowledge distribution, culture, health, reconciliation, belonging, and democracy. Our plan of service was developed with community input and with consultation with many of the local agencies. And we do this, and our plan of service is quite fluid. We meet regularly. We have designated staff to participate in the interagency meetings and inform others about our programming, to coordinate and collaborate with others. And with each point that I make, we try and highlight where the city strategic responses are as well. And in this case, it's supporting the community, is supporting the expansion of community programming through partnerships. So we'll go through some of our strategic plans. Creating young readers, of course. Those of you may be familiar with Miss Mary. She's been with us for a very long time and she's very popular. And so her programming is continuing. We've had regular and even special events, Halloween parties, Easter egg hunts, that kind of thing, with over 2,000 children participating. Again, creating young readers. We offer equipment to enhance STEAM literacy that can be taken home. As well, a permanent area is now available for drop-in use and programming with our expanded space in the Kinsman Room, which we'll address later. So our programming includes activities that enhance physical, emotional, social, and intellectual literacy, not just reading. There we go. Lego at the Library is a very popular event. It's held once a month. It is a very, it's grown with the added space upstairs in the Kinsman. We were once, sort of in a small area downstairs in the children's area, and now we have a very large area upstairs. And we have over 150 participants on Saturdays once a month with parents as well. One of our other strategic priorities is to visit a comfortable place. The Mary C. Moore Public Library strives to offer the community a safe and comfortable space to meet and interact with others, or to just sit quietly and read. And we offer open and accessible virtual spaces that support social networking. By building the community, we're efficiently delivering core services. We're increasing access of city services. Supporting the community, we are supporting community safety and health. How are some of the ways that we are doing that? We have received training in order to be recognized as a dementia-friendly facility, and we have several innovative programs that are being offered through the library, and including a collaboration with FCSS for the Memory Cafe, and they meet once a month in that space. The library participates in Seniors Week, collaborating with a number of groups to offer programming to seniors throughout that week and throughout the year, including staff visits with seniors' facilities, offering lending and reading programs. We visit Royal Oak, Lacombe Lodge, the Lacombe Hospital, and serve more than 150 seniors. The action group, we serve up to 87 people. In keeping with the library's efforts to offer the community a safe and comfortable space to meet and interact with others, the Lacombe Pride Society is one of the City of Lacombe's newest societies and meets regularly at the library. They are having different types of meetings, different types of activities. They are geared towards youth and adults. Our second pillar is satisfying curiosity. Mary C. Moore began offering, for example, snowshoes in February 2022, and we added summer backyard games as well. These are part of our lending library that is not just books. They take home the equipment and they can use it in their own yard, or they can use it at their own leisure. Our newest addition is a pickleball set, which includes paddles and balls. We also have some sewing machines new, and we have some others as well that will highlight it. Mary C. Moore Public Library partners often with local businesses to provide expertise and learning. And one of the opportunities that we had with our added space upstairs in the Kinsman Room was to bring in Red Sports and to have a workshop on how to operate, how to keep and maintain e-bikes, which have become extremely popular in the last 2 years in Lacombe. One of our very popular partnerships is with Lacombe City Cinema, offering our Four Eyes Film Festival. And again, we will do that. And what the library does is they work with TIFF, which is the Toronto International Film Festival, and they get a series of films and we present them to the community. They may or may not have been films that you would have seen in a larger cinema. The last 2 years, we have shown the 2 Academy Award-winning pictures in our series. Last year was, what was that? Who, Out, Where, Somewhere? I don't know where it was. You don't remember.
We attended one.
And Parasite was the year before. So we usually pick the winner. So this year we're hoping we've got another popular one in there for you all to see. We offer also many services to the community to improve job opportunities, hosting job fairs, providing resume building workshops, and offering proctoring exams. As well, we partner with the Central Alberta Refugee Effort to provide English language learning and improvement. We have offered many programs in the past that provide lifelong learning opportunities to the community. This year, we had a very unique opportunity to partner with an online course at the U of A, Alberta Health Services, and we offered a free program connecting you with your family, with community health provider resources and activities. So each evening, the family would get together. We had 8 families registered. On a Thursday evening, the dinner would be provided. They would help serve and cook, and there would be an activity, physical activity, for example. And this was provided to families. This year, we're thinking of doing it on a seniors level, cooking for 1, cooking for 2, so something like that. So it was a unique opportunity that we had because of the kitchen setup in the Kinsman room. We would not have been able to do that without having that space allocated to us by the city. In keeping with the library's efforts to offer the community a safe and comfortable space and to offer intergenerational programming, the library can now offer other events as well as the ongoing intergenerational book club. And those include family crafts and makerspace, because we have those set out already. Family movie matinees, because we have access to a film and a projector and space to show films for family. One of our most popular events, and here you can see the kitchen in the Kinsman room, and it is very useful for us, was to celebrate the Coronation Day tea. And we had over 50 participants, seniors and young children mostly. It was really quite exciting. So we had Battenberg cake, and we had, of course, tea and ice cream. In the 2022-2025 plan of service, we highlight a need in the community to offer more programming for teens and youth. We've been limited in the past because of space and because of staff. But we collaborated with others this year to offer a week-long program for youth during the March break. Using the space that we had upstairs, we worked together with the Lacombe Museum and Lacombe Performing Arts, the Alberta Health Services and the Family Network Resource, the Boys and Girls Club Wolf Creek, and Big Brothers Big Sisters and FCSS, where they all took a day to provide activities and staff and using the space upstairs. And my apologies for the next one, I just copy pasted that. What I want to highlight is the Truth and Reconciliation Week that we did again with the Lacombe Museum, St. Andrew's United Church. Using the space upstairs, we held lunch activity, and then on the last day, we were over at the St. Andrew's United Church. So again, another very good collaborative program. Again, using the space that we had, where it would have been too small for the museum to do on their own, and it would have been easier for us to use our space. Other types of activities include free meditation classes, where, and we're doing another one because it was very popular, to other activities where it is a paid activity. So we try to keep as many of our programs free for everybody to access, but in the case of bringing in a special speaker with Doug Morrison, for example, there is a fee for that. The library this year, for I think it was the first time, we did the Lacombe Days Parade, and it was quite exciting. They really got into it, and they had a great time. As always, we participate in the Chairs for Charity and in the trade shows and Chamber of Commerce activities. So we do have a number of opportunities and activities to highlight the library and to use that opportunity to tell people about our programs and to tell people what is going on at the library. Fundraising, well, we've set out quite an ambitious fundraising challenge for 2024. Working off the tail end of what FCSS's success is, we're also going to launch and put together a sponsorship program. So we're going to offer sponsorships to naming of programs. We can't rename the Kinsman Room. We're very satisfied with the Kinsman support that we've gotten, and we hope that we'll continue to use that room. We call it the Kinsman Programming Room. But we do have other sponsorships, whether it's for the library, for the reading clubs, or even for Lego activities. It could be sponsored by somebody in name. So we're looking at some of those types of sponsorships and larger ones for areas of the library as well. So we hope that we'll get that underway for the early year of 2024 and get into people's budgets for getting money from them. So we'll just do a little bit about the budget and then go into questions. So our main objectives are to maintain the high level of customer service and to providing services for the community. We want to transition to a loss of fine revenue. We brought it back in last year because it was part of the PRL process. But we're going to look at trying to come out of that and be a fine-free library. And we'll use some of our reserves for capital expenses in the new year. So in our 2024 budget, our income is $818,581. We have a couple of summer student grants that we're hoping to use to run our children's summer program. Mary's going to take a bit of a summer off as she transitions to retirement over the next year and a half. We did get an increased library service grant this year, and we're going to have increased income from membership. Our expenses overall, we have done a 3% COLA increase in wages. An increase in facility costs, that's our Kinsman Room, is $25,000 a year, as opposed to the budget last year. And we have a decrease in magazine and newspaper subscriptions. So we'll try and use sponsorships to try and increase those as well. So basically, the City of Lacombe grant is $348,683 for 2024, and it's an increase of $13,411, and miraculously, it's 4%. We're good.
She's good. I'm just here for the ride.
So that's just an overall look. There is a detailed budget in front of you if you have any questions or if there's anything else we can answer.
Thank you both. We do have a few questions for you, Councillor Connick.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. Actually, no questions per se. I just a few comments. One, I just wanted to commend you on the growth in programming and partnerships that you guys have undertaken over the years. Even just in my time on council, when one of the first committees I sat on 12 years ago was library board, and the growth in the activities and things that you provide now, I think it's just marvelous. I mean, that's how libraries need to survive. They can't be books anymore. And the road you've gone down and those partnerships and programs, I think it's just terrific. Miss Mary, great. 17 years ago, my oldest sat with her and my other 3 kids, and she's still marvelous. I think
Those are the stories we like.
that's just awesome that she's still hanging around there. And then lastly, another comment. I just really like the idea that you guys are trying to be dementia friendly. I have a parent, well, whom I've lost now, but he suffered from dementia. And I think we're seeing more and more of that, unfortunately, in our aging population. So I think that's terrific as well. You guys are taking steps to try and accommodate that. So that's all I had. No questions, but just kudos all around. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Gullickson.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. Well, I'd just like to say my time on the board was one of my better times. I really enjoyed that. And that's when we started to talk about that additional space at that point. And I'm amazed at how much use you are getting out of it and very pleased with that. Certainly it is getting used, I'm sure, more than it was in the past. And I think you still cooperate as far as timing goes. Is that not correct?
Yes.
With the space, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just ideal, I think, as far as the use of that area. And your cooperation with the museum and other organizations, I think, is outstanding. And again, that's something when I was on the board, you were talking about that, and it's nice that it's come, through to be true and taking advantage of those partnerships. One question regarding the county funding. Now we still charge for memberships, right?
Yes.
Does that affect that funding? Do you know?
Yeah, it did this year. Yeah. Yeah, we contacted the county because the provincial grant went up by 17,000 this year, and we were very pleased with that. But our county grant went down, and they have a very complicated process for what they do, and they said that the Lacombe County's documentation from the city of Lacombe is that the population for the county decreased by 2% in 2023, and county memberships decreased from 32 down to 19. And that's done by address and whatever. There are many people that have memberships in their local library, but use the Mary C. Moore Public Library predominantly. And that's because many of those libraries are membership free.
Great.
So we think if we went there membership free, we would have more of the county population joining our library, thus increasing our county amount. That's our hope.
I know that was one of the questions when I was on the board, whether you should be, when somebody takes out a book, find out
Where they're
from.
Yeah.
You get those numbers so that you could have that, because I suspect you're 25 to 30% or more of the users of your library are from the county.
Yes. Yeah.
So I would like to see that done somehow, whether they track, however they track it, to ensure that you're getting the funding that you deserve to have from the county.
Yeah.
But again, thank you for everything you do. Outstanding work.
Thanks to everyone on council and everyone who's brought in donations. A lot of our fundraising is books, so we appreciate it. Thank you, Mayor Creasy, for bringing paperbacks. We take care of the co-op, so anybody who has used paperbacks, we will take them, drop them off. We can use them. We'll give you a tax receipt.
Mm-hmm. So going forward, our only thing that's holding us back from using the upstairs space more is staff. If we could find somebody, either volunteers or somehow staff it, we could have it open all the time. We're looking at a key card access so that if you have a library card, like a hotel room, you could get access to that room, because it is filled if you have a chance to go and visit with, there's a whole locker side full of card making equipment. We have sewing machines and we have the maker space, all the robotics and everything there, and people can go in there anytime. What's keeping us from opening it full time is lack of staff to be there to help. So we're looking, that's in our 5-year HR plan.
Councillor Hoekstra.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. As you must realize, it does my heart good to see those pictures and that the Kinsman Room is being used in such a lovely way. So kudos to you, because sometimes we feel that we need program funding that's particularly targeted to something to do something, but you are thinking outside of the box. And I really appreciate that as a community member, but also as a former Parent Link person. Yeah, I just was reading through here. I commend you for what you're working on. I don't have a specific question regarding the funding, but I think a volunteer manning that room or being the person in that room would work too. That see if that works for you. But thank you for what you do.
Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. This is getting more back into Councillor Gullickson's regards to the county. Your last year revenues with the county is only 6.4% of your budget. Current year revenues is going to be 4.6%. Having been on other boards and commissions, I would really strongly advocate that you track your usage more of the county, because it just gives you ammo, I guess, so to speak, to, you know, they're wonderful to work with if you justify your numbers of usage with other groups or other boards and commissions in the past, that we, you know, you bring your numbers to them to justify it, and therefore then you're rewarded based upon. And I think the numbers are of support is, with all due respect, I think you'd be higher, and I just think that extra effort of tracking would justify more support. So,
Yeah, I know that in the explanation from the provincial government, they used the municipal 2019 census, and I don't think the county did. I think they used a different group of numbers. That was the explanation that we got. But we will look into that further.
We track all the numbers and submit them, and that's the money we got. That's what I should tell you. It is not based on usage. It's based on how many people from the county register at our library. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know how else, like, we have the reeve of the county on our board, and we have brought this to their attention. I think under the act, I don't know if they're required to provide additional funding. I don't know if Guy can answer that, but the only form of funding we receive is the Rural Library Services Grant, and that's based on how many Lacombe County people are registered at Mary Seymour through us. So I don't know how else I could advocate more. I've tried with Barb too, haven't I?
As you've said, Councillor Ross, it would be good to find out who's coming from what other library to use our library, and that's what would be, yeah. I think we can do that.
It shows it I can send it to Guy tomorrow. It shows who's using it from the county. I'll send it.
Yeah.
Councillor
I wish I knew how to get more money from the county. I apologize. When I arrived here 16 years ago, each province has a different act, and I've never found a way to get more money from the county. So if anyone has any recommendations for Linda or myself, I'm happy to go there and advocate, but I've never been successful in receiving any additional funding from the county in 16 years, just so I put that on the record. I'm grateful for the reeve being on the board though.
Yeah.
Councillor Houston, was your comment in that same line?
Yes, a quick question. Do you have to show your membership to sign up for programs?
No.
Why not?
I can't do that under the act. I've tried that before.
It's open for anybody.
I even tried that.
But can you still get their address?
We could ask, yes, we could.
But we can't deny service.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Just so you know, because I tried that with the computers and I was immediately called by municipal affairs and said, don't even need a library card to come in. No charge. So I got my fingers slapped and I learned.
Councillor Hibbs.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. That was actually going to be my point is, I mean, there are so many, I guess, passive users of the library that just are in and out. And I would say probably a lot of them are from the county, but we have no way of knowing if they're not checking out a book because they don't have a membership, then we wouldn't know, right? Same thing with the programming. I was thinking about that as well. There's many people that are attending programming that are not necessarily library members. And so while I get you don't want to, deny service, that would be a crime, really, probably literally, but also, but it'd be nice to be able to track. So I do love the suggestion that maybe there is some way that, you know, you can still say, you know, you're totally, you know, able to attend that program and register for that program or however it's operated, but we would love to know your postal code or whatever the case may be, because then it can make a better case for more funding, more
And the
equitable
postal code
funding.
is a very good idea.
Yeah.
That would be,
Pass that
that's less intrusive of saying, where do you live?
Sure.
But
Pass
I
it
like
along
that.
to
I
the
think that's a good
programming,
one.
and we'll,
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think that's a great idea.
we can easily add a postal code to the form.
So one item in your presentation, you said there was an increase of rent for the Kinsman room. That wasn't perhaps an increase to your budget, but it wasn't an increase in rent. That is the rent because you didn't have it previously. And I just think that might have been a little misleading to
Yes,
the
sorry.
people
yes.
watching at home
Yeah.
is all.
Yeah.
It's not a
Yes.
big deal, just to clarify that.
Yeah.
We're running out of time here shortly. I just wanted to close by thanking you both on being creative and keeping our library viable and exploring different ways to reach our citizens. So thank you very much.
Thank you very
And
much.
if you have any suggestions, send them my way, okay? Because if I can get the money, I want it. I don't know if you know me, but I'm greedy for money. And I like savings because interest is good right now.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day, you guys. Thank you very much for everything. The support we will be able to do the work in here. Thank you.
Coordinator Bellabona, did we have anyone here from the Heritage Resources Committee to present? They online or?
Yes, Mayor Creasy, I believe Miles is there right now and he's ready to go.
Wonderful. Mr. Chikerta, we appreciate you joining us here to speak on behalf of the Heritage Resources Committee. I'm assuming that you can hear us now.
I can absolutely hear you, Mayor Creasy. Can you hear me?
Wonderful. We sure can. Please go
Excellent.
ahead and proceed. The floor is yours.
I will push the magic Teams share PowerPoint button here, and I hope it works. It doesn't. So I'm just going to the current slide and do a share the other way. You gotta love technology. Hopefully you can see the slide now. Excellent. Well, we'll start there with an opening bit here. And I just want to say thank you to the Mayor Creasy and all of council for having me here. I'm sorry I can't be there in person. I was teaching at MacEwan up until 5 o'clock, so I don't think you'd want me racing down the Queen Elizabeth II at 150 to get there in time. And I must say, just thank you to everyone tonight here in the room for everything you do supporting council and our community. It's a really tough act to follow FCSS and the library and then be followed by so many wonderful community organizations. So I'm really glad to be here. And I wanted to start today, just like last year, just a little bit about who the HRC is, particularly for anyone beaming in at home and concerned citizens. And we often do get confused with a Lacoma District Historical Society, and we aren't the LDHS or the museums. We're a little bit different, and we are that internal board of the City of Lacombe governed by a bylaw. So in terms of what we do, it's right there. The objective of the committee is to advise the City of Lacombe staffs and council. And is that, not sure what's going on there. Sorry, something on my side. I'm not sure if you see the little, someone has just saved changes. But I want here to really thank city administration for support. This year, we have Nancy Hackett and Jennifer Kirk from planning always in our meetings. They provide so much support and information and knowledge. You know, we wouldn't be here without them. This year, because we've done updates to the website, that section of the city website, Andrew Reed and also Nicole Shaw have been absolutely fantastic resources in programming new information on the website. And finally, Tom Vaughn for making sure our comms are always in line, looking great and stuff like that. So that's really who we are. And I'd like to go over our accomplishments this last year. And the big thing is designations. It's really exciting this year to see two more properties receive designation, and that's the Campbell Block and the Presbyterian Manse, and that one is pictured here. Really exciting thing about the Presbyterian Manse is it's the second residential property in Lacombe that's receiving designation. So really thank the owners there, and also highlighting a property or a house being designated doesn't turn it into a museum. So we want to help owners maintain it, maintain the outside, but still keep it as a living house. If you want to renovate your bathroom, go right ahead. And granting. Connected with the designation is the granting, and this is where most of our funds go. This last year, we dished out or $14,672 for a number of projects, and our general policy is we fund up to $5,000 for each project and up to 50%. So it is a cost share situation. And in terms of the money here, the increase in designated properties, we think aligns with various parts of the city's strategic plan. The community section, it strengthens conditions for investor attraction. People come to Lacombe because of that heritage nature. We're building the community efficiently, I hope efficiently, delivering these core services of funds and helping owners repair their building. And the picture here is some of that work that was done to the United Church over the years. And then, of course, supporting a healthy community. I mean, it's part of who Lacombe it is. You go to downtown, walk around, and that heritage nature is part of us. Now, the website revamp was a really big section. I talked about this last year, and the first phase, and that was overhauling all the text on the website, has been complete. And the second phase, and we still have to release this officially, was the creation of an Esri story map. And you see a little bit of it in the slide there. Basically, a visual way of sharing heritage and information about each designated property online. And there's a lot of capabilities here. We can build out and even tell stories of undesignated buildings. So we're really excited on that area and hope to build it out even more this coming year. And then finally, there's that third phase I mentioned is integrating all the final report stuff from the updated survey that came out earlier this year. That's underway. So this is all really important, just so information is very transparent and accessible to anyone that's interested. And with that online presence, we also have various social media platforms going on. Even though we are a city committee, our Facebook page was created in around 2011, 2012, so that's been grandfathered, and we make sure everything is coordinated with Todd and the city, so we're not saying anything that doesn't align with the city's view, of course. Sydney Ducharme, particularly, is a committee member who's been doing a lot of work on recording things, putting out the Facebook Live, all these social media things I don't know how to do, so she's wonderful at all that. And the survey update was really the big ticket item this last year. It was a huge undertaking and represented the first time these various lists have been updated in 10 years. And just a reminder, there are those 3 levels. There's a survey, which is a lot of the significant buildings, not just 50 years or older, but places of interest list. The inventory is the next level up, where we develop a statement of significance. These are really core buildings, like part of the bones of Lacombe. And then finally, the register, those are the ones that are designated. So the survey update was a huge part, and there are various recommendations in there, amending the land use bylaw, which was done, enhancing public education, and also reviewing incentives. And these are all ongoing aspects. And then there was the land use bylaw, and that passed a little while ago here. I just kind of summarizing what that involved, and really it was working together with administration on ensuring there's efficiency and a transparent process. We want to make it really clear how things should be done if an owner of a property is applying for redevelopment, demolition. We want to make sure it's all there, black and white, and no confusing parts of the bylaws. So I think that has been accomplished this year quite well. And then finally, outreach. We didn't actually engage in many events like Lacombe Days, things like that, but we started doing the prep work for it. And you can see here some of the material that's been created. We've got 2 lovely pop-up banners, flyers, and everything. So next year at things like Lacombe Days, Canada Day, anything, community event where we can be out and about, that is what we hope to do, and share this information and also get people interested in designating their properties, because there's a lot more out there we'd like to see protected. And with that, I'll just touch on some goals for 2024, and I will remain very bullish on getting properties designated. Mentioned we had 2 done this year. I want 3 more next year, and we've already got a short list going. And a lot of this is reaching out and making those personal connections to owners, talking to them and explaining what it involves and how it's not a scary thing. And hey, we would love to give you money and help you maintain the property. The second thing here you see is the development of heritage property maintenance plans, and we'll see that on the budget. Over the years, we've tried to find information on just kind of how to do it. Documents. If you're an owner, you have 100-year-old hardwood floors. What's the best practice to maintain them? There's nothing much out there. So we would like to develop something here. And as far as we know, this would be a Canadian first, particularly for a community our size. So we're very excited about that. And it would involve Michael Dougherty, who also did the survey update. We're going to continue working on that story map site and also investigate and develop enhanced designation incentives. And of course, that would be a negotiation and conversation with a broader part of administration and seeing what we can do to make it maybe a little bit more financially lucrative for properties to get designated. But there's all sorts of options there. And finally here, I do want to recognize owners. We have some amazing property owners here in Lacombe that have invested a ton of money in their properties. And I put a few examples here. There's the Denick block, which has had so many of its brickwork and structural issues repaired. Of course, in the Clear block and now houses Ona Cafe. Just a remarkable job at restoring a look. And then finally on the right, there's that Campbell block. They recently installed these outdoor lights that really accent the historic nature of it. So that one's neat because it shows, no, you don't have to lock a building in, one period of time. There are little things you can do. So with that, this is the budget requests. Essentially very similar with operations that we requested last year, that $8,800 with an addition of the $10,000 for the development of that historic building maintenance plan. Now, the second part here, and I did talk a little bit last year of increasing perhaps the yearly ask for the Heritage Conservation Grant funding. This year, we've put $15,000 in because that would top the pot up to $20,000. The original idea in the 2013 Heritage Plan for the city was that there would be $20,000 per year. So we're basically asking to top us up, and you see the expenses to date there over on the side. So we currently have $5,000 left in reserve. So altogether, a request of about $33,800 from the city. And again, just keep in mind, maybe down the road, if we have 2, 3, 5 more buildings designated, the overall requests for funding might go up, and we might have to revisit that $20,000 a year item. And I think with that, that's my presentation. Really, really short and sweet. Really thank you so much to the various members of the committee that have put in a lot of time and effort. I list all their names there. I also mentioned we are a full committee of the city, so we don't have to find anyone to fill some spots, which is great. And with that, maybe I will just end there and listen to questions. That's why I'm here.
Thank you very much, Miles. We appreciate it. As we do the work that you and your committee do, I know it was a busy year. And thank you for touching on a few of the projects that you were able to accomplish this year. And we look forward to everything that you have in store. I don't think that council has a ton of questions for you. But once again, we appreciate your work.
Wonderful. I know we've been here a few times with various projects this year already. So yeah, you've heard a lot from us.
Thanks for not speeding on Highway 2.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to get a ticket like certain ministers, so.
And so our next item up is the Lacombe District Historical Society, and I see that Ms. Blunden is here in the back of the room. If you'd care to join us, please, Melissa, our Executive Director for the Lacombe District Historical Society, and along with Gail Chambers for the vice president. Thank you for being here as well. Oh,
Good evening, Mayor Creasy and members of the City of Lacombe Council and admin. We'd like to extend our sincere appreciation for your time this evening. Tonight's presentation will be completed by myself and Debbie Gillard, our president. So our vice president is last minute. He was ill and unable to attend tonight. So to set the stage for tonight's presentation, we'd like to acknowledge that this is a continuation of our July sustainability presentation. Our aim is to address some of the questions that emerged from that session, as well as our recent capital project request. And during tonight's presentation, we will offer an overview of the various services that the Lacombe Museum provides to our community. We will also highlight specific areas where the city's operating funds play a crucial role in supporting our mission and enhancing the experiences we offer to our residents and tourists alike.
To begin, let's focus on our frontline services, where the Lacombe Museum sole services as the sole in-person unofficial visitor center in Lacombe. We've observed a significant shift in visitor behavior since the front end closure of the Lacombe Regional Tourism and the Chamber Visitor Center. Many community members now turn to our institution to obtain the information that they used to access through these organizations. Our dedicated team invests a substantial amount of time engaging with visitors and locals alike. We provide valuable assistance by offering recommendations for local restaurants, providing directions to other tourism destinations, and furnishing information about upcoming events, and among other services. However, it is crucial to reiterate that we have taken on this role without any extra financial support to aid in these efforts. This underscores the need for the operating funds we receive from the city to continue offering this essential service to our community effectively.
So our operating costs also play a vital role in supporting a wide range of heritage services. This includes our heritage research, which is historic building reports, any genealogical research, community lectures, heritage demonstrations, the preservation we do, and sharing of our local heritage. Cultural development, which is a fairly new service we've been working on, which is involving cultural landscape assessments, field excursions, collaborations with different Indigenous groups, and fostering a deeper appreciation for our shared cultural heritage. And digitization, which is offering vital support to preserving personal records, providing access to our collection and archives to the community. And these efforts safeguard historical documents, making them accessible for education and research, as well as for generations to come. I know this past weekend, I got to enjoy some time with my family house, going through photos, and it was just a nice little way to spend a few hours and reminding them that they should scan those. So these heritage services really are the core of our mission, and it's only possible for us to offer these with the operating funds that we continue to receive. The other very similar, did that go forward? There we go, is for our operating funds would be the support of our historic sites. So this is where things kind of get confused with the HRC. It doesn't help that I am on the HRC, but it is an important to note that the cost of maintaining these three separate facilities, from basic utilities to sometimes very specific heritage restorations, is out of our operating funds. And so the Flatiron Building, the Blacksmith Shop, and the Michener House are really essential components to our cultural heritage. And it is the support of City Council that helps us to keep making them accessible to the community. So we're constantly working on restorations to the buildings, general facility maintenance and overall care of the buildings, as well as some bigger projects of reimagining those sites and what they can be.
Staff wages are also partially covered by the operating funds. In 2022, wages totaled $230,000. For 2023, wages are expected to be over just $200,000, as we had to lay off a staff member in the first quarter due to funding concerns. Currently, 2023 has included 2 staff members at $123,000, 4 seasonal staff members over the summer months at $22,800, and 2 student interns at 50,000. We also have a part-time contracted bookkeeper for 8,000. Other items, we also use annual operating funds to cover other items. We also, I think that's messed up, but anyway, operating funds to cover to include utilities, insurance, property taxes, facility maintenance, volunteer appreciation, events, programs, and exhibitions, etc.
So now we've covered a few of the maybe bigger items that operating funds are supporting. We did want to take this opportunity to talk about a few surveys and feedbacks that have come through. So I will be discussing more of a national level, and then Debbie will go over a local level. In 2022, about this time last year, the Museums for Me national feedback was released, and it spanned a decade worth of research across the entire nation. And they did very specific museum questions as well as programming and going through Stats Canada reports over that period of time as well to get the results. And so a remarkable 97% of the respondents were quoted as viewing museums as trusted sources of information, affirming the credibility and reliability of museums. Heritage preservation and education, you can see on there, they both had 96% of participants valuing the role museums play in preserving heritage and providing educational opportunities to their communities. This recognizes the vital contribution to preserving the past. A tourism impact was responded at 91%. So 91% of respondents were equating museums to tourism in their region. So this is acknowledging that there is a draw and appeal of museums to visitors, which can thereby boost a local tourism economy. Quality of life, this is something I definitely believe in as well, but substantial 86% of respondents see that museums enhance the quality of life in their community. And they emphasized in the responses that there was a positive impact on the residents' well-being. And so there's been a lot of conferences in the last few years that really focus on how does a museum impact local people in their well-being, their mental and even physical health as well in their community. And then museum engagement was noted at 84%, identifying as museum goers across Canada, indicating a strong and active interest in visiting museums and engaging with their services or products. And then cultural events had a 71% of respondents valuing the cultural events that museums facilitate and host, highlighting their role as community hubs for cultural enrichment and social engagement. So these findings reflect the enduring importance of museums in the hearts and minds of Canadians, showcasing that museums as a cherished institution that contribute to the overall education and vitality and cultural enrichment of their communities. And then I just had a few quotes up here as well from that particular survey, and it is available online if you'd like to read it. It's about 300 pages or so. So in your spare time, but just that museums are more about maybe not going for a specific topic, but learning about the social experience of exploring, discovering, and meaning making. And then that museums are a place where people are given permission to really think and engage with new ideas and make memories with their friends or family.
In addition to the national surveys, our local community engagement surveys conducted between 2020 and 2022 have provided valuable insights. Here is a summary of what we heard from our community. Preservation of historical landmarks. An overwhelming 100% of survey respondents see the value in preserving our historical landmarks, demonstrating strong community support for the heritage preservation. Emphasis on local history. 83% of respondents expressed the desire to maintain a strong emphasis on local history, people, and events within the permanent exhibitions at the Michener House Museum, reflecting a keen interest in our community's heritage. Value of cultural events. 71% of respondents highly value the cultural events facilitated and hosted by the museums, highlighting their significance in community life. Demand for educational opportunities. 59% of respondents expressed a desire for more educational opportunities hosted by the museums, indicating a hunger for learning and knowledge within our community. museum goers. Majority of 55% of survey respondents identify as museum goers, affirming the local interest and engagement with our museum offerings. Desire for art and interactivity. Nearly half, 47%, of survey participants expressed a desire for more art exhibitions and increased interactive elements in exhibitions developed by the Lacombe Museum, showcasing an appetite for diverse and engaging museum experiences. These local survey findings provide valuable direction for our museum's future endeavors, emphasizing the importance of preserving local heritage, expanding educational offerings, and creating interactive and culturally enriching experiences that resonate with our community. We are committed to addressing these insights and further enhancing our services to meet the needs and preferences of our local residents.
And so on the screen, we just have one of the questions we had asked is what would you like to see within the Michener House or the general Lacombe Museum Reimagination Project? And we picked this answer. We surveyed over 50 people in that period, but this answer seemed to really almost conglomerate a lot of what people were putting down as answers, that more interactive exhibits, educational programs and activities, more space for events and gatherings, more accessibility for people with disabilities, and more emphasis on local history and culture. And then these two quotes I just thought were nice. So what do you like most about the Michener House? It was the employees, staff, and volunteers seem to be the top answer. And then the variety. So this person loved the buildings, the exhibits, and they have attended events and workshops in the past. They were a anonymous survey. So it's nice that they put that in there because then I know. Okay, so now that we've kind of covered that, I did want to go through a little bit of our demonstrated service growth. These numbers that are on the board are 2018 and to 2022. So over the past 4 years, the Lacombe Museum has demonstrated a significant growth and impact on various fronts. So while some of those aspects of this growth are intangible, as we become a more increasingly relevant organization to our community, there are many measurable improvements as well. And so we have some up here. So visitation, we've seen a substantial increase in our visitation, and some of that I believe can be attributed to, as Debbie mentioned earlier, our new frontline services that we're really offering. So we've increased from 4,820 in 2018 to 10,426 visitors in 2020. The number is higher this year as well than that. So this is indicating a growing interest, not only in our museums, but just in what the community, I think, is doing in the downtown core. Our program offerings have expanded from 4 really staple programs that we offered in 2018 to 37. And this year it's even more than that because we've added more tours to our walking tour selection as well. So we used to just have 2 walking tours, the mural and historic buildings. We now have 6 different walking tours with 2 more on the way. So it really is allowing people a new, even though a lot of it is the same blocks that you're walking on, it's completely different stories and completely different experience as well. Membership, I think this one is really key. Our membership base has grown from 11 people to 53. This is really reflecting an increased number, not only of individuals that are seeing what we're doing and wanting to be a part of it, but they're actually invested in what we're doing and they're supporting our mission. So I think that one is a very important number to look at. The research requests, so we've been doing research requests for 53 of our 53 years. So the number of research requests has surged. We had 7 in 2018. And something I guess to note is 2018, there was no executive director for a few months. So maybe there were some of these things were missed in the tracking of that time. But so there was 7 tracked for 2018. 2022 saw 23 research requests come through the doors. And this year we were surpassed 23 research requests by May. So we actually have one of our part-time staff members who works 2 days a week, as all she does is answer research requests for the community. So hours open to the public. We've also extended our accessibility for how we are available for people. And so we were at can't really read it there. We were at 480 hours in 2018. 2022 saw 1,850 hours that the museums were open to the public. So this is ensuring that more people have more opportunities to engage with our exhibits and resources. We tested out evening hours last year. We did all sorts of things just to try to make certain that there was something for people to do after 4 p.m. Was kind of one of our visions, I suppose, in 2022. So this growth is a testament to the hard work of the entire team, the volunteers, the staff, our supporters as well, in making a positive impact that the Lacombe Museum has had on our community and its increasing importance as a cultural and educational institution. It also underscores the value of the continued support from the City of Lacombe.
Let's delve further into the financial aspect using 2022 as a case study. 2022, the combination of city operating funds and county operating funds amounted to $94,429. In contrast, our total expenses for that year reached $382,368. The variance between these two figures was balanced by a range of income sources, including project-based grants at $235,520, the proceeds from our fundraising initiative, $16,169, contributions from corporate sponsorships and general donations, $11,820, as well as revenue generated through our services, programs, and gift shop at $9,731. It's crucial to underscore that the Lacombe District Historical Society routinely seeks funding through both the city and county granting streams each fall. The combined funding represents the sole confirmed source of operating funds for the Lacombe Museum on an annual basis. It's worth noting that there are no provincial or federal support for museums outside of project-based initiatives, capital projects, events, etc., or summer student wages, which can cover up to 75% of wages for 8 to 16 weeks for student positions. As previously mentioned in our July presentation, we actively explore alternative funding sources. These efforts include additional grant applications and the pursuit of corporate and private donations. However, it's imperative to recognize that these income streams are inherently uncertain and cannot be relied upon as consistent revenue for our annual budgeting and strategic planning purposes. Our ongoing endeavors are centered on transforming into a more sustainable and regional organization that with diversified funding sources. We remain steadfast in our commitment to serving the entire Central Alberta region through educational initiatives, exhibitions, and research. This commitment encompasses revenue generation from fundraising efforts, sponsorships, gift shop sales, and service-driven fees, such as those associated with heritage home reports and digitization services.
So we're nearing the end here. In our request for the 2024 financial year, we are seeking the support of City of Lacombe with a funding allocation of $80,000 to sustain our operations, encompassing all of the aspects that we've discussed this evening, and I'm sure things that we've also missed because we like to jam as much as we can into the 20 minutes. So to provide a little perspective, in 2023, the funding amount the Lacombe Museum funded to the Lacombe Museum was approximately $4.13 per person. For 2024, we're proposing an increase to $5.61 per person. So it's a representative difference of $1.58 increase per person from the previous year. And while we acknowledge that this funding request exceeds the suggested increase, we hope that tonight's presentation coupled with the July presentation has illuminated some of the diverse ways in which we utilize the funds and emphasize the pivotal role in safeguarding the future of the Lacombe Museum. We firmly believe that this increase in per person funding is essential to maintaining the vibrancy of our institution and ensuring that we can continue to serve the community effectively. Your support is not just an investment in the present museum as we see it today as an essential aspect to our community, but it is a commitment to preserving our heritage and enriching the cultural fabric of Lacombe for generations to come. We'd like to open the floor to questions tonight, if there are any.
Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. Just to point out, the increase is actually a 36% increase. So I guess my question would be, is it relative to, I guess the eagerness of expanding your capital, which is relative to needing more operational, but yeah, it's what areas of capital have possibly increased the demand, your need for that significant amount of increase for your operational, because we're listening to many different organizations for our allocations.
Yeah, so what I think what we tried to highlight in July is a lot of the funding we've been able to maybe utilize in the last few years and bring into Lacombe has been very project based, and there is never really any funding out there for operating. It's always project based, project this, project that. And so while we have tried to maybe utilize those as best as possible to ensure that we are also, every grant we write has like a staffing wage line and it has office supply lines so that we try to cover those expenses. The current expenses or revenue or operating funding that we do have does not cover even our wages of one staff member and utilities for the year. Right. So I think that is something that maybe needs to be plainly said. The funding for even my own wages does come from grants. And without that, it really does run the risk of the group maybe returning a little bit more to a volunteer run organization, because there just won't be the funding there to pay for anything at that point.
And volunteering right now is crucial. We've had issues and not just the Historical Society, but many other groups rounding up volunteers for different projects. And because of the increase of hours and the projects that we do, there has to be staff there to look after those. Somebody in the museum all the time. And it's the wages that really are the significant where we need the increase.
Yeah, and I don't think it was anyone's initial thought when we were moving into the Flatiron building that we would then be a visitor center. And so we haven't explored that world of, is there funding available to be an official visitor center? I don't think that's something that our group necessarily wants to do because our resources are already completely tapped out. But it has turned into that in a way where if we close the museum for 30 minutes to go for lunch, we get phone calls, where were you? Why weren't you there? So we can't just even be away from the front desk for a few minutes really at this point. So I think it might be a little bit of both.
Councillor Gullickson.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. Thank you for taking on that expanded role. And you certainly didn't ask for it, but it's come to you. And the location of that building just makes that happen. With everybody coming to our historic downtown, they stop in there to see you. So thanks again for that. Also, thanks for bringing that exhibit. Some of our councillors didn't get a chance to see it, the Franklin exhibit, which I understand is the only place in Alberta it's going to be is our museum. So that's very big feather in your cap for you. And that whole exhibit was wonderful. And I really enjoyed spending an hour or two there the other night. And again, I think you expanded your responsibilities, or we have, by making some changes. So I think we'll have to address that at budget time. And I appreciate what you've done.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, thank you both for coming and presenting to us.
Thank you so much.
Break or no? So, council, it's 7:30. It's been a couple hours. Anybody like a short break? Yes, very good. I would say there's no harm in saying yes. We'll just let's make it quick though. 5 minutes at the most, and we will resume then. I believe with Lacombe Regional Tourism at that time. And during that time, Mr. Weaver, if you and Mary wanted to make your way up to the frontier, so you're ready to go when we return, I would appreciate it. Thank you. Reminder for you both, we appreciate you being here, but just a reminder to use the microphone for the benefit of those in the gallery and watching at home. And if you are prepared to start, the floor is yours.
Oh,
Now we can.
it helps if I turn it on.
Start.
Yes. Hi, everybody. We're here to present about the Lacombe Regional Tourism, what we did in 2023. Okay, and I said I knew how to work this, but there we go. So this is just a quick agenda for what we're going to be discussing today. And some beautiful pictures that we have taken this year in the beautiful city of Lacombe. So just a reminder before we start, our mandate as the Lacombe Regional Tourism Board is we want to responsibly grow the regional visitor economy by leveraging key public and private partnerships, leading regional destination promotion and development activity, and engaging all community members across Lacombe County. So what does that mean? It means that we're wanting to bring people from away into Lacombe County and take more than our fair share of their money while they're here. I want to have heads in beds. I want them spending money at our local businesses, and I want them paying for activities that we all know and love. It helps us have more things to do as people who live in this great place, and it also helps our economy by increasing the tax base. So together we can welcome more visitors for the benefit of all. So here's our team. Mr. Austin Weaver, who's here with me tonight, our executive director. We have Viri, who is our marketing coordinator, and Stuart Reese, who is our content creator. We are going to have some changes this year. Viri is leaving to go back to Mexico, which is her home country. She is, I think, in her last few days now. Stuart also was with us under contract, so he's decided he wants to be in a more loose role. Like he wants to go out and be a freelancer photographer. They've both been amazing. We've grown by leaps and bounds. We could not have done it without them. Don't worry, we're already in talks with a new person to take Viri's spot, and we already have, oh, sorry. Christian's name is under the counter there. He's coming on starting
Next week.
Next week. So he's right on par or better than Stuart. Hopefully Stuart's not watching. He also really focuses a lot on video, which is always a great thing. So the thing to remember about both of them is we've really focused on having a lot of content creation of videos, photos, because a photo tells 1,000 stories. And we really think that that's one of the things we haven't done so well in the past, but we have tons of photos and we will continue on that path, even with Stuart leaving. Some more of our photos. Oh, and one thing to remember, you do have, or you will soon have the ability to use all of these in your business as the City of Lacombe. So you'll be able to use these on social media with any brochures or anything you want to use them. That's part of being a member. I also wanted to just highlight who our board is. I'm the president of the board. We also have Riley from Cilantro and Moe's. We have Jackie Corkery, who is our treasurer. She's from the Best Western. I just felt that we never really highlighted who it was behind this group, especially in our smaller towns. They're not really sure. So we just wanted to let everybody know who was on our board, and they're all fantastic.
So to kind of build upon that, we get to now talk about the activities that went well, and it was a big year for us, to say the least. Lots of growth. It was wild. I've worked in DMOs probably 6-7 years now, and I haven't seen anything like this. So it's great to see that support. We brought back the 2023 visitor guide, as you guys have seen. If you haven't, I've got copies. I'll hand it around. That's fantastic. Look forward to the 2024. It's in proofing right now. It's very exciting. Our website performance, this was a shocker for us in the sense that we were seeing 160,000 users come through our page. Comparatively speaking to other DMOs of a larger size, we are keeping pace with them. It is unreal the amount of traffic that we are doing. Now that's mainly because our site is search engine optimized, search engine managed, and it's linked up with good content. So people are looking, they are coming. Then we saw membership growth. Official count was about 51. Unofficially, we were closer to 65 businesses that we've been in talks with. About last year, we were sitting at about 27. So we've doubled in size for businesses and communities involved, and we're well on the way to tripling. So big talk, I know, but the numbers don't lie. The Outdoor Adventure Show. So we went back to the consumer show, Calgary Outdoor Adventure Show, 16,000 people, 2 days. And we were there with all the other DMOs or destination marketing organizations from the region, from the States, and from across Canada. And we actually won a booth award while we were there. So we're going to be going back. We handed out over 600 guides, I believe it was. So yeah, we had a good time. Mary came down, Jackie came down. It was well received. So we'll be going back to that this year. Then on the top, these were kind of the quieter ones that we were involved with. Hidden hooks. I think we talked about that last year. That was the 6-foot tall fish hooks that we were hiding in the community. So we started to bring that out. We rolled that out this year. Then we got involved with Levi, which I'm sure some of you guys are familiar with, Levi Darwin with Lacombe Dome and Esport, and started to support him as he moved forward. The big part about that was that we attended the Sport Event Congress in Edmonton last November. And when we went there, one of the key opportunities for a smaller community, event-wise, was Esport. I was in a room with 200 people while they laughed at a consultant from Ottawa who was telling them this. It was wild. So we took a leap and went ahead. We also got involved with the Alberta Ale Trail. That came to fruition. Without the legwork that we did, that wouldn't have come to be. Now, the hope of that being that we would encourage more support industry and more breweries to come to the area, looking at that economic development piece. Some more things, members of services, letters of support. We wrote more letters of support than I have ever written. Let's put it that way. It was a lot. Destination development. We were involved with the Travel Alberta Destination Development Plan, making sure that our region had its say in how the region was going to develop and how Travel Alberta was going to represent us going forward. We also got involved with the Lacombe District Agricultural Society and helping them with a strat plan. And on the same note, we jumped in with the Medicine Lodge Ski Hill Group and helped them with their master plan. We also helped with the town of Bentley and their rebrand, as well as the Ellis Bird Farm and their rename. We were there recently. Then we also, like I said, talking about the image bank. So right now we're 72 plus galleries. That's close to 1,600 assets. And a third of them belong to the city of Lacombe. So that is at your disposal when you need it. And as I said before, Sport Event Congress, we learned a lot of things from that event. We attended in November of last year. So talking to the numbers, as I said before, just watching as we've grown. Started off in 2020 with 2 part-time staff. Now we're up to 2 full-time and 1 contract. Our membership dues, when I came on board, it was only worth about $2,300. Now it's trending north of $8,000. Communities, we had 1 community, 1 county, and now we can say we're truly regional. We've brought in all 8 communities, and you might say 8 communities. There's only 7 in Lacombe. You're correct, because Stettler works with us too. And we're in talks with Sylvan Lake, as well as Ponoka and Brimby. So we've been out and around. Growth of awareness. So this was just the social media side, talking to more excitement that we saw. 2021 reached 150,000 plus, and now we're trending north of 380,000 projected anyway for this year. And we are on track to meet that projected total. Crazy reach and brand awareness. Other key point to mention about this is that it is all organic, meaning that it isn't paid boosting. So if you know social media, it's all about pay to play. Well, this is not paid for. This is content development done right. So until that starts to flatline, we won't be sinking a lot of money into it, but it is an option going forward. Activities that didn't go well. And this kind of goes along with things. I get to tell you the positives and I also get to tell you the negatives. So as you guys are aware, we did sink a lot of time into Pinty's, into the Grand Slam of curling. We also sunk a lot of time into the National Aboriginal Hockey Championship. And with all that growth, we had internal growing pains. We had the best problem to have, as well as meeting all of our member services being stretched out. So it was a good problem, but we had it. So what did we take? Now, event-wise, because we went after those 2 large events, we learned some things, and we had to take a step back and take a look at it. And we learned that venues matter. That one was pretty obvious. Proximity to Red Deer and Leduc also mattered, as they sink millions of dollars into event attraction and facilities. Supporting infrastructure and services. So it's not just the arenas, it's the restaurants, it's the hotels, it's the services, it's the rental companies, and everything else that comes along with it. It all matters to our bids. And staff capacity and structure matters, meaning that can't be done off the side of the desk. It has to be focused on directly by somebody. Mary, you want to take over?
Sure. So then that leaves us with what's next for 2004. So like we've said, we want to expand our regional catchment. What does that mean? Well, Lacombe is awesome, and there are a lot of people who know it and want to come here just for Lacombe, never leave the side of the, outside of this town. But there's a lot of people who say, well, if I'm going to drive for 2 hours, what is there to do? How many things? If I want to stay a whole weekend, can I stay busy all weekend? Are my kids going to be interested all weekend? We have a lot of smaller areas, and we have a lot of different activities that fall outside of Lacombe City or even Lacombe County. So how do we bring those all in and make an even better story for people to come here and, again, leave their money behind? So one of the things we want to do is create 4 cluster experiences. So we've done this a little bit with our itineraries, and we're going to flesh out some of those some more. We also want to focus on some things that we haven't really done, like golf or more agriculture activities. So we want to, again, have those itineraries that say, if you want to come here and you don't know about the agriculture of Central Alberta, here is an itinerary that you would do. You would visit these places, you would stay here, you would eat here, and it's just kind of a one-stop shop. They know exactly where they're going and what they'll experience. We also want to reevaluate our strategic plan in 2025. So you'll probably remember we did a strategic plan not that long ago. We hired an outside consultant. It was fantastic. The good and the bad of it is that we've already gotten to the end of that strategic plan. We thought we were doing great with a stretch goal, but we've managed to meet almost all of those. So we're not going to do that right away because we do still feel like there's a lot of growth that we can do. But we do know that to keep on with the pace that we've been at, we need to get those outside sources to come in and help us get past our own limiting thoughts about what we can do with the region and how we can grow it. So basically, this is a tip to say, just wait, you'll probably be hearing about this again from us soon. We also will launch the 2024 visitor guide. The 2023 one came back in a blast. People are so happy to see it back. It's beautiful. One thing that we have redone that you'll notice from what we did previously is that we're getting these out earlier and earlier in the year. So we're already I think we're on rough draft 2. Proof 2 of this, because we want to have it done before we go to any of those like outdoor adventure shows in February and March, because we want to have something to hand to them then, not in June, right? Because it's too late. We also are going to attend another consumer show. We all know that these are expensive. So what we didn't want to do last year was go to 2 or 3 and spend a bunch of money only to find out that it really wasn't worth it, our time or effort. Well, Calgary went really well. We had a lot of great conversations. A lot of people who don't have the money or the time to be spending in Banff, so they're excited to come somewhere else.
So we decided to expand that and go to the Edmonton Boat and Sportsman Show. So we'll be doing very similar to what we did in Calgary. They're actually on the same weekend, which is kind of a pain. But we're going to be sending a team to both of those so that we can, again, invite people to our region and explain to them why they should be spending their money and time coming here. We also need to do more growth on Route 12. So this has been an interesting thing. It kind of took a back seat this year because we were chasing the Pinties and a few other things. We also really wanted Rocky Mountain House as kind of the other end of Route 12, and they had not agreed to be a part of it. They've since come back late in the game and said they do want to be a part. So we're rejigging a few things, and we're hoping that that will be re-released here soon. We do have a website for it. We have social media. So this will be a push definitely at the end of this year and beginning in 2024. I'll let you ask for the money.
I guess I get the fun one. So at this time, you guys, we'd like to ask that the city of Lacombe increase their funding from 64,000 to 74 or 70 and 400. So it's approximately a 10% increase. And the reasons behind this being allowing us to compete. Red Deer, if you know, Tourism Red Deer doubled their budget. I need money to keep pace with these guys. So also we're expanding our capacity of our team and would love to provide more services of value. So without that funding, hard for me to do. I think at this time we're going to open up to some questions.
I'll start out by thanking you for that presentation. I was just curious, an ambitious goal to increase your catchment area. How do you propose the funding for that be structured when you're bringing in areas beyond the county? How?
So we're working with the model that we have here, which is a per capita model. So depending on who we're talking with. So if it's a municipality, it's per capita. If it's a business, it's a standard membership fee that they pay. Nonprofit, same thing. So we're just taking our model and applying it across a bigger area at this time. So we're not reinventing the wheel.
Okay.
And a lot of that has come from people approaching us and wanting to be a part, because as you probably know, a lot of the counties around us don't necessarily have a lot of, especially to the north, they don't have a lot going on with tourism. So the businesses especially are wanting to be involved.
Thank you. Councillor Gullickson.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. I'm really happy to see you going to these consumer shows. I think this is a great opportunity for us because a lot of people don't know we're here. And this is a way to get it out to them. And the visitor guide, I think, is an excellent opportunity for that. Because if they go to these shows, they'll take that guide and take a look at it later and go, well, I didn't even know that existed. So I think that's a great way to showcase our area. So thank you for doing that. And I hope that you're able to get enough staff to do them both on the same weekend, because those are the two that I think will do the best for us. Was there any other ones that you were looking at doing, or is this?
We tempered around looking at like the Edmonton RV show. Turned up. So we were looking at the Edmonton RV show. We were looking at the Calgary Bike Show. These are consumer shows that I've done with other operations and other outfits, and they tend to bring in that tourist crowd. At this time, though, we're going to stick to the outdoor adventure and just slowly expand, as Mary said, take that step gradually at this time.
Probably a good idea. Thank you. Appreciate it.
C.O. Gowdy.
Thank you, Your Worship. You mentioned a per capita funding model, and so there's 8 communities involved. Is that per capita funding formula the same for all members?
Yes, so it's based actually off of the city of Lacombe. So I believe it's based off of $495 per capita there, and it's based off the city of Lacombe. So if you guys implement an increase, then the whole county implements an increase across the board, and vice versa. If they come back and they say, hey, we'll give you 15%, well, then I have to ask for that. The only extenuating circumstance right now with that is Stettler. Stettler is paying a flat fee at this point, more because we're just kind of trying to work them into the fold and get them there.
Is the town of Blackfalds a member community?
They are, and they will be receiving a presentation from us very shortly.
And so their contribution would be simply adjusted for the ratio of population. Is that accurate?
That is correct.
We would like them to.
We would like them to, and we are working on that. Let's put it that way.
So in a roundabout way, you're saying they don't pay the $4.95 per capita.
Not at this point, but we have made strong inroads there. As you guys know, they have taken changes in their administrative office. New economic development officer, new CAO. We are seeing more businesses come to us, and so that is giving us a stronger foothold every single time. So we'll keep knocking until they pay.
Well, I appreciate your tenacity. It's just that it's the reason I asked that question is it's a difficult thing to sell to our own citizens to be expected to foot the bill for areas well outside of city limits. I'm not suggesting you not take some sort of regional approach, but there's limits. Councilor Ross?
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. I've always advocated that there's synergies between culture and tourism, the chamber, to benefit all businesses and the events that go on, even within the city and county as well. I guess one question maybe to justify your increasing costs, and it's excellent to see go to the shows, but what's the cost to go to these two shows might, I guess, justify it to increase it as well. Do you have a number that we have to go by? Because I think it's great that we, maybe even, maybe it's not your area, but I mean, home builder shows in Edmonton and Calgary, right, for the city and economic development. I think there's all relationships there that could benefit each other. But what's the cost of these two shows?
Approximately, we're going to be looking at about $3,200 for both shows. They're about a $1,600 price point on each one.
Which is one of the reasons we didn't go crazy and try to go to 4 at once.
I think that's all the questions that we have for you this evening. Thanks for presenting. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much for your time.
Mr. Harder. You can. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Lacombe Performing Arts is next. Lacombe Days. I have a different order here. Sorry about that, Grant. You've been bumped. So Lacombe Days, we have the director, Jessica Zylstra. We appreciate you coming to speak with us this evening. And I'll get you both to introduce yourselves, and obviously you know how to use a microphone. The floor is yours.
This is yours. Hello, Council and Mayor Creasy. I'm Jessica Zylstra. I'm your new festival coordinator for Lacombe Days as of March. This is Sherry Bink. She's our current president for Lacombe Days Planning Committee. And we're here to talk about the fun weekend that we planned for everyone. So Lacombe Days this year was July 14th to the 16th. It was a mostly sunny weekend. The only time it rained was right when we were trying to set off the fireworks. So yeah, if you want to go to the next one. Nope. Was it this one? Oop, oh, no. As I said, we were a small team with a bunch of big ambitions this year. We had our work cut out for us when we decided to throw a large concert for everybody. And with a new coordinator who has minimal training in this, it was a learning experience for all of us. So we are a team of 5 on our board. So the entire weekend was planned by 5 people. So we did see an increase of attendance to almost all of our events, which was a surprise to even us sometimes. So Lacombe was super busy with visiting members of the community and outside of our community as well. So we did do a survey and we got very great feedback from community members and visiting members as well. So We'd also like to recognize the support that we get from the city as from funding from this grant and from the community builder grant or fund that we got, as well as in-kind donations of facilities. So we greatly appreciate that and wouldn't be able to put on the weekend without the support of the city. Sorry, we're still figuring out the clicker. This. Our parade is a fan favorite. So this year, we would estimate we had between 8,000 to 10,000 people watching the parade. I don't know if you guys, some of you were walking in it as well as I walked in it, and there was not a spot where it wasn't 1, 2, or 3 rows deep. So very popular parade. I did hear from multiple people that our parade was actually better than Red Deer's. So kudos to us for that. We are one of the only communities that throw a parade with candy being tossed. So that is a big draw. So yeah, estimated attendance was really great. We expect to just keep growing with that as well. We did not have any marching bands this year. They were all at competition or at different parades. So we have already contacted some to make sure we have some for next year. So we had lots of growth and success this year. So as I said, many of our events saw a large increase in attendance. These are the notable ones. FCSS Lunchbox Cedar saw 3 times the amount of kids and families that they normally see. The Lacombe Days Market was a full market this year. The entire Centennial Hall was packed with vendors, and all those vendors, some of them have been in different markets around Lacombe and in past Lacombe Days markets. So they said they saw record sales, so that was great. Our circus, the Dr. Van Hooligan's Family Extravaganza, also saw full shows for all 3 shows. So notably, the Stones and Bones was an unexpected attendance increase. It was put on by the museum. They had an archaeologist and a paleontologist going through what they were expecting, kids' sticks and bones and stuff. They actually saw a increase in farmers bringing in things that they found in their field to get analyzed. So we have talked to them about expanding that in future Lacombe Days to see if we could set up a booth or antique roadshow type of thing for people to bring all of their neat Lacombe stuff. The airport fly-in breakfast is put on by the Lacombe Flying Club. They did a fantastic job serving over 1,000 plates of breakfast. And they also had record attendance of people not just there for breakfast, but to see the airplanes and other things. They had helicopter rides as well this year. So that was a crowd favorite. Creation Station is brought to us by City of Lacombe Arts and Culture Department. So thank you guys for setting that up and running it for us. It was very well received as well. There were a few hiccups with the location this year. It did get shuffled around a bit. Finally, it got settled into one of the county rooms at the LMC and the West Lawn. We are in discussions to see if there is a more ideal location or if we need to leave it there. So that is an event that we are looking at possibly changing, but not too much. So scavenger hunt has been a popular event in the years past. This year, due to mainly myself not being there to be able to set it up, we passed it on to the library, and the library did a paper scavenger hunt instead of a digital one. It had over 100 people take the scavenger hunt and explore around town with that. So we are gracefully passing that on to them and giving that for their enjoyment, so we don't have to run it ourselves. This is probably what you guys are all wanting to hear about. Our Widener Motors hometown concert. Many of you were there that night and I assume had a great time. it was a new thing for our committee to try to plan. That being said, there were some growing pains and a couple of things that we needed to work through that we weren't anticipating. Overall, it was very well received by the community and outside of the community as well. We had Harlequin and Honeymoon Suite, as well as Cabaret by Dean Ray after. We had our beer and our beverages, our beer and our food right on the arena floor. All of our floor tickets were sold out quite quickly. We had leftover tickets in the stands, but we still estimate that we had between 850 and 900 people attend the concert. So overall, I would say it was a success, and we are in planning for next year. I'd like to acknowledge that the hometown concert was we were only able to put it on because we received the Community Builder Fund from the city of Lacombe. Without that, we would not have been able to put that on for everybody and have that enjoyable event for everybody. So thank you very, very much to the Community Builder Fund and the city of Lacombe for that as well. We anticipate that we will be applying for that again this year to put on another concert for Lacombe Days next year. We hope to have our planning starting. We've honestly already started for it, but hardcore planning for it in January. So hopefully it's a little bit more organized and we have some great bands and an enjoyable evening for everybody. So, and then fireworks. What is Lacombe Days without fireworks, right? So we had a generous budget for our fireworks this year. Crana Lake is still the popular spot for it. With the rain, we did have a lot more people watching from their vehicles, or they went back to their homes in the community and watched from their homes. So that was not anything that we can change. The rain comes if the rain comes. So you can't really, you either shoot them off or you don't. So we found a small window of time in the radar where we were able to shoot off the fireworks, and everybody seemed to enjoy the show. We did have music playing at Crana Lake as well, and we had a couple of vendors there. So we'd like to expand on that in the coming years and have more music and more food and vendor options around Crana Lake. So people go and can stay there for a couple of hours and then watch the fireworks go off. So our 2024 goals, we would like to continue to bring people into Lacombe for Lacombe Days, have them stay the weekends. We are working with Lacombe Regional Tourism to up our profile in that way to surrounding communities as well. So our goal for Lacombe Days is to have events for every age and every family, essentially. So we would like to make sure that we have something for the seniors, the teenagers, the littler kids, everybody. So we are looking for ways that we can have cost-effective, sustainable events that will keep attendees in town during the weekend. That includes looking into admission-based events, but keeping it reasonably cost-effective so that it's not a hindrance to people in these harder economic times. So 2024 events that we would like to focus on for next year include the concert, of course, some more senior-friendly events. This year we did have a Try It pickleball event, and that went over really well. So we will be working with some of the more senior groups in town to see if there's anything that they would like to be brought to Lacombe Days. Bigger name live entertainment, we would like to continue with the concert, of course, and have some more notable names or different names. We would like to try and stay away from country just because Western Days and the Ponoka Stampede are kind of straddle us. So we would like to stick with that retro 80s, 90s. I know calling it retro might be, sorry, I'm in there too. So, and then expanding on our event for teenagers. This year we did have an event for teenagers that was not very well attended. It could have been for any number of reasons. including just teenagers are picky. So if your event is not cool, they won't show up. More music-centered events, maybe possibly around town, doing like a tour through Lacombe with music and food. And our car show is also very well received. So we would like to look into expanding on some car-related events as well. So I did not include it because I'm new at this, but our ask for this year is $33,000. It's about a 6% increase from last year's budget, mainly just to keep operating costs and so that we can keep bringing great events to Lacombe. We get the fun job, the fun committee. So we're all about making sure everybody in town has a great time, and we'd like to continue doing that. So thank you for your consideration and for listening to us. And we'd like to open the floor to any questions.
Well, thank you very much for that. You had suggested that next year you're going to be more organized for the concert. I think maybe you're selling yourself a little short. From my perspective, it was extremely well done, as were all of the events during the Lacombe days, which made it the overwhelming success that it was. So I think it's pretty amazing that there's 5 core people that really organize and implement the entire thing. So absolutely unbelievable. And the community does appreciate it.
Thank you.
Councillor Hoekstra.
Thanks, Mayor Creasy. Yeah, I echo those words. I love the enthusiasm that you guys carry with you as you do all the things on that weekend. And we did enjoy the concert. I can't believe I still can hear, but that's okay. It was really good. The key question though is, would you say it broke even? I mean, I know it's nestled in the budget of the whole weekend, but so many people, well, is it breaking even? Like what happened here? So that would be my first question. And then the second one was around marketing. And so many people I ran into my age who said, oh, if I'd only known. And I was like, man, it was everywhere. So I don't really know, like, do you have different plans around marketing the concert? Because I personally think you did a really great job. I think some people were like teenagers. They just sort of hung back and weren't sure that they should go this year, but they will next year. I don't know.
Absolutely. So I'll answer your first question. Right now, we are still figuring the numbers to see where we're at. We would estimate that we probably broke about even. We didn't really make any money. We might have even lost a little bit just because of security costs that we hadn't anticipated, as well as our ticket sales were not quite what we expected them to be. And it's hard to price admission tickets when it's your first go at something as well. So those are all things that we can adjust for the next year to increase our profits and maybe even see profits for that. So in regards to marketing, we did start later just because we weren't sure if we were even able to put on the concert. So that's why the marketing was a little bit later, as well as my own inexperience with marketing, which will be remedied with a bunch of courses and stuff. So yeah, starting earlier will definitely help boost the marketing in that aspect, as well as expanding our knowledge on different marketing as well. So.
Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. I will allude that I got a great team. It seems like every year you're kind of mentoring a few people. I've done this 10 years now. The concert, yeah, and the front people think, oh wow, we did a great job. In the back, we're like, oh crap, we should have did this. We should have did this. We got a checklist, I guess, and it was a learning opportunity. I'm on rec board, and I've worked with rec and culture. That last year, the confirmation, and I can't reiterate, without the community builder fund, we wouldn't have broke even. No, we were hoping for 1,400, but we really never started selling tickets till first part of June, because between confirmation with the agency and the entertainment and so forth, and then like the budget that was presented with our producer was relatively accurate, but it was really difficult. Actually, we ended up having to put out some pretty significant honorariums to get volunteers for security. And so that was a bit of an eye opener. And so yeah, so great job, Jessica and Sherry. They're, because it's her first year, we're enrolling her in courses. We've already had meetings with Culture and Tourism to link up with their marketing. We do need to significantly improve that. The areas that with the Community Builder Fund and having applying for it in December for it to come into play to council and rec board in January will significantly aid us to have that confirmation to start marketing. And we haven't even specifically come up with a date yet because we're in conversations with the Bullrama group. Do we go to their weekend on the 27th to have two major, we think would be very significant activities, being a concert on Friday night, the Bullrama on Saturday, plus all the other events we had? Would we significantly draw more people from farther areas? And if we get that confirmation earlier, it's marketing. And that's, we feel responsibly, we need to be better at that. And we're seeking out learning opportunities. So in that areas, and because I've discussed with Director LaPointe and CEO Gowdy, could we open up more camping areas to possibly attract people to come for the whole weekend? And it just benefits your whole community. So lots of things in the works, and we're starting earlier. So thank you.
I don't see any other lights on. So once again, thank you both. Sherry and Jessica, we appreciate it and look forward to what next year brings.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much for this meeting with us.
Next up, we've got the Lacombe Performing Arts Center Foundation. The president, Grant Harder, and Rosanna is not here. Oh, she is here. Oh, there she is. Thank you.
Rosanna's going to do everything. I'm not going to talk.
In that case, well, let's give you what you asked for. You knew that was coming, Grant.
It's okay.
I don't know how this is working. Oh, sorry, this is probably timed. It's on my fault. Good evening, Mayor and councillors. So as we review our past year and look forward to our next season, I can't help but think of a statistic I recently saw. Nationally, between 2013 and 2017, Canada's cultural sector generated $58.8 billion in direct GDP, 2.7% of the total Canadian GDP, and 8 times the impact of sports. Of course, we are living in a completely different world from 2017, but we are seeing a steady rise in attendance and participation in cultural events once more. At the Lacombe Performing Arts Centre, our 23-24 season is our busiest yet. We are projecting the season to have double the amount of programming as last season, and at this point in 2023, our programming and ticket sales have increased by 214% total sales and registrations compared to 2022. A report from Business Arts in May 2023 shows culture goers want more affordable and accessible events that are closer to them. We continue to hear feedback from our patrons that they appreciate being able to take part in events and classes in our city rather than having to leave Lacombe to go to surrounding communities. There's a great opportunity for continued growth within this community. The Lacombe Performing Arts Centre thrives in a collaborative environment. LPAC directly assists the economic development of our community. We support other small businesses who run out of our facility. Currently, we host 3 different community theater groups, a yoga teacher, 4 music teachers, a stained glass art studio, as well as numerous artists who help facilitate our seasonal art programming. By supporting these groups and artists, we are making arts and culture available to all demographics, not just in Lacombe, but across Central Alberta. We've heard from our patrons that are grateful to be able to take a writing class in Lacombe rather than travel to Red Deer to attend one. People from surrounding areas come to our city specifically for programming and entertainment at LPAC. We have seen people from Red Deer, Pigeon Lake, Rocky Mountain House, and Rimbey who have made the trip to LPAC to take our class. Our performances have regularly seen people traveling from Pinoka, Stettler, and Innisfail to take in a show. Providing local entertainment keeps dollars in our community. Lacombe Performing Arts Center brings performers and artists to Lacombe to support the local economy while they're here. They also promote our facility and boast about the city to Lacombe, the city of Lacombe, to their own social media following. Lacombe Performing Arts Center strives to contribute to social cohesion, community vitality, and quality of life to people of all backgrounds and circumstances. I'll see if I can do this now. There we go. Okay. Some highlights for 2023 so far. Increased personnel to support the community collaborations and programming, such as partnered fundraising events with other nonprofits. The barn dance as part of the Culture and Harvest Festival, the under $100 art market as part of Light Up the Night, and more, while supporting the administrative needs of LPAC. The creation of Cooper Roofing Studios. We reached the point where more space was required to support the increasing demand for arts in our community. We have partnered with like-minded artists and instructors to provide a dedicated space for a stained glass studio, a music studio, an additional programming studio, as well as an artist lounge. As I've already mentioned, the 23-24 season is projected to have double the amount of programming as the 22-23 season, diversifying the mediums and opportunities for the community. The aim is first to support the instructors fairly in their expertise, while secondly, keeping arts programming affordable for the visitors. We are looking at continuing growth of barrier-free programming, like our Music for People with Dementia, with team jam sessions and drop-in art afternoons for seniors. So I've done a little bit of a video recap of our year so far, and although it doesn't portray everything that happens at LPAC, it gives a brief overview. Oh.
This is exciting. I haven't seen this.
I'm not sure if I can press buttons. There we go.
It is exciting, isn't it?
Oh, it says codec unavailable. I don't know if it's going to be able to play on this system. It is available in the email that I've sent. So we can maybe move on from that one. I don't know. I'm assuming you're being sarcastic. I hope you are. Okay, we'll just continue. There's a lot of actually some feedback from local artists and instructors about the impact of LPAC, as well as some of our performances and updates to our facility on that video. So if you do have a chance to watch it sometime, it'd be great if you are able to. So as the growth of programming and community collaborations continue, the biggest challenge we face is personnel resources. We made the commitment to bring in another administrator, and as relationships grow and our programming expands, it is already proving to be a limited resource that we feel should increase. As a facility, our greatest hurdle in providing the public with a performance venue is maintaining comfortable temperatures in our Shunda Theater. I know a few of you have been to some sold-out performances and it's hot. With increasingly full shows, some of it at sellout capacity, we are unable to maintain a comfortable temperature within the space. Our board has identified the immediate need for air conditioning system to support our continued pursuit of welcoming the public into the Lacombe Performing Arts Center. This year, LPAC is asking for operating funds of $34,000 to support this time of growth and to help us create a successful future for arts and cultural programming in our city. We are also asking as a gift in kind for plowing services during the upcoming winter months. We at Lacombe Performing Arts Center appreciate your time and consideration. And if Grant has any other comments, or I can forward it to questions.
I didn't think I was going to talk. I think that when we look back 4 years ago, 5 years ago, we said we need a performing arts space. We need a dedicated space for performing arts. And nobody was really sure whether it was going to be successful or not and how much the demand, how big the demand was going to be. But I really see now that it's got a life of its own. When you look at the number of classes that we have, the number of our artists and artisans that are involved, the response from the public in general, I think, build it and they will come. It has really proven true. And it's wonderful that we're in a position where we have to add more people to help Rosanna cope with everything that's going on. Without that new person to look after Culture and Harvest Festival, assist with Music in the Park, Canada Day, all those other external events that I'll call external events. They're in town certainly, but they don't happen within our facility. Without that extra person, even with our volunteer base, we would really struggle to make those things happen. So there, I think that's all I have to say about that.
Whatnot that you do provide in the list that you handed out. Certainly look forward to the comedy nights in November as well. Lots of good stuff all year long. So thank you for that. Councillor Hoekstra.
Thanks, Mayor Creasy. Yeah, thank you for what you do. I was just at the center last week and a couple events happening, buzzing. It was really, really neat to be there. And I even got an email. I wonder if this person knew you were coming to have a request, but for funding, they were just saying what a blessing your organization is in our community and having the building and now the mural. I haven't seen the mural. What? Well, anyhow, I'll have to check that out tomorrow. But I was curious about the one program, Teen Jam. We just heard with Lacombe Days that you got to kind of have the right program for teenagers. Are people showing up for your Teen Jam, or has it not started? I didn't check.
It actually just started last week.
Okay, so fair.
The reason that started was that we saw in the community page that there was, they were looking for places for their teens to meet with other teens and have a safe space that, like they're at that age where they're worrying about keeping them busy in the right ways and just meeting other like-minded teens. So based off of that is where I connected with the parent and created this opportunity. So it is just the first week that started out and it was very quickly put together just to get it on the go. So we just have a couple that have registered. One is a singer, one is guitar player, but we're hoping that as it progresses that we can keep that growing and getting a few involved for sure.
Councillor Hibbs.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. Yeah, I just wanted to comment, like, what you guys have created, you've created something that's such a variety of offerings. It's open to all ages. Every event I go to, I see different people. It's not that you have the same people attending the same, thing all the time. Like, it's different people all the time, different ages, different backgrounds. Music in the Park, as you mentioned, of course, is not on the site of LPAC, but it's also obviously, organized by you. And that is such a huge draw for people from outside of our community. So our community is benefiting from that, from drawing people in from outside and visitors. And so, they'll go out for dinner first before they come to Music in the Park. And it's just such an opportunity for us as community members to be exposed to different types of music in that case specifically. You've got all sorts of genres being represented over the course of a season. So it is truly phenomenal when you think about where you started and where you are now. You're utilizing the whole building, like just the breadth of classes being offered there. Like, it's really exciting. You could keep yourself literally busy with the programming that you offer just alone, never mind doing anything else in this community. And I think that's amazing and outstanding. And it's just like wow, this wasn't here 10 years ago, and look what a huge staple this is in our community. So I just wanted to comment on that.
On that note, because I heard tourism talk about attracting people from out of town. We had a stand-up comic recently. Wasn't to my liking, but that's a different story. He went through the first 2 rows of the audience and he said, "Where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you from?" There was not one person from Lacombe in the first 2 rows. Everyone was from out of town, Red Deer, Rocky Mountain House, all over the place. So we do some of that too. We draw music in the park. A great number of people from Red Deer come on a regular basis now, which is wonderful.
Councillor Dallas.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. I guess we're kind of getting to the end of the presentations here, but it's, you know, we've had this incredible list of organizations and foundations, and I believe like this is where I like to see community funding go. These organizations keep our community safe. They provide so many important aspects. And then when we see people tell us, well, there's nothing to do, it is just simply a matter of them not looking. And I'm grateful for every single one of these organizations that's here and is presenting today, because these are vital. And I believe dollar for dollar, these are more important than, I will say, snow removal. I will say other services. And so I appreciate you taking the time from all our executive directors and then the volunteers within these organizations for coming. So thank you.
Anyone else? Very good. Well, thank you both. Oh, Coordinator Bellabono.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. I just wanted to let council know we did receive the link to the video. It just wouldn't work. So I will work with Rosanna to get that video to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you too.
Have a nice evening. What's left of it?
And next up, we've got contingent here from the Lacombe Athletic Park Association. Mr. Lunn, it's good to have a celebrity here. So I'm being rather serious when I say that. As you know from your brother, I did have another event going on that day, and I missed the end of your walk, which was pretty inspiring to see the videos and whatnot from it. That means a lot to our community, and you are a standout among heroes in this community. So thank you for that and all the work that you do.
Sorry, Mayor.
Anyway,
Creasy.
go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask before we start the presentation, because it's 20 minutes and it's 8:46, if we could possibly have a motion to extend past 9 o'clock.
That is wonderful advice. Thank you. Councillor Gullickson.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. I'll make the motion that we extend past 9 o'clock.
Very good. I don't believe that we have that. So we'll just do a visual show of hands. All those in favor? Thank you very much. So, Diane, will you be leading us this evening?
That's what I've been told. Since the
Wonderful.
chairperson.
We appreciate that. I appreciate that as chair, both you and Jay and Jason. We appreciate all 3 of you being here. I think the clock is ready to go whenever you choose to start.
Okay, awesome. We'll be short because we just got out of a LAPA meeting for 2 hours. So I know we're both pretty tired. Thank you very much for having us, Mayor Creasy, city councilors, of course, Jay Adamson, past president and project manager of the track and field. And then we have Jason Lunn, who is our treasurer. So yeah, first, huge thank you to Talia, Dallas, and Dawn for coming out and helping us with the run. It was very successful on the 29th. We had over 250 runners, 95 volunteers. Thank you to the community event grant. It sponsored our t-shirts for the volunteers, and it says City of Lacombe on it. And yeah, it was a great day. Linda Nielsen and family had so much fun, and it was great, you know, her catching up with people and stuff like that. So I was going to just say a short thank you for that. Yeah, Lacombe Athletic Park. We're getting better since COVID. We opened up on March 21st, and we've had the Shock football, the Buccaneers, Titans rugby, six-man flag football, women football. And I heard that it was pretty heavy hitting football. It wasn't, flag football for that. The team lacrosse was awesome to meet up with. All the players around Alberta, they were the under 18 and they were going to PEI to compete. And they all met in Lacombe to practice here at the field. And I met parents from Edmonton and Calgary, and they said that they do not have a facility like this where you could just show up with your son or daughter and play sports in the big cities. Everything's rented out, and they were just simply amazed with the field house and stuff. And then Gators lacrosse is also happening, and then there was a college game too for soccer. So yeah, so it's been going. We've had only 2 Rams football games this year. So in the schedule, for some reason, and I guess it just happens that they play a lot of away games. So yeah. So, but anyways, yeah, we put in a request. I guess you have it up there. And I assume you guys have gone through it. I'm not going to read out the whole thing. But we are requesting, we've had, gratefully, you've sponsored us $50,000 a year for the last 3 years. So it's up now, and now we are looking at our funding, and we are hoping that 60,000 is a good ask. We find that since 2018, we've expanded. And we've seen a real increase in our utilities from going like our electricity was like 2018, it was 1940 a month. And now in 2023, it's like 3,800 a month. And it's just because we've expanded the field house and the same with gas, going from 22.97 in 2018 to 2023. It looks like, probably 5,100 or something like that, right? So just a great, increase in utilities itself. And yeah, so yeah, I've been talking for the last 2 hours. I'm tired. So, but I don't know if you have anything to add.
No, we just, we've expanded the field house. We promote the facility to more than just football. And so our usage continues to go up, which is what we want. And just like we've heard previous presenters, we want to provide a facility that's great for our community here, great for all of central Alberta, but we have users that come from all over Alberta to use our facility, and it just continues to increase our costs. And that's why we are just asking for 60,000 a year. And hopefully we can go into another contract for 3 years like we have with our previous agreements. They were $50,000 a year. We were on an agreement with you guys for a 3-year agreement. So we haven't been back to ask for money for a while. And we're just, again, asking for that $10,000 extra to help with our costs. And we are continuing to work to expand our facility and continue just, a lot like Lacombe Performing Arts. And, and I know how awesome their facility is because I take it in as a community member. But we want to continue to provide as much as we can for residents of Lacombe and the greater community.
Anything else you'd like to add, or would you like to go to question? Excuse me, go to questions now.
Oh, questions.
Okay, fair enough. Fair don't know who was up first. We'll start with Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. Once again, you've put a landmark of a facility into our community. I sincerely appreciate that, but your ask is, sorry, only to the city and not to the county. I've been, once again, I've said earlier, I've been a part of boards, commissions where you track your usage and justifies a request to, as far as math and numbers. Is it possible for you to that to go back to the county to, you know, you're asking for a 20% increase? I just think that effort could be made to the county as well. You know, without a doubt, you increase your facility is obviously when your capital is going to be increasing operating because of obviously the utilities, and how many more users do you, it benefits that you, and I know that as treasurer, you just look at, oh God, you're going to create me more work. But it's just, it's a way that presents information that I've been part of in the past where the county's been, yep, you presented us where X percentage of the users are them, you know, it's, yeah, it's just, it's, I know it's more work, but it does, it's a tracking method to justify your ask to increase the county as well.
Well, I think that the reason why we're asking you right now is because right now we can't, because our contract is up with you. I think 2021 is when we made plans with the county, so we would wait until, that's right. So that's.
But their contracts don't due until 2021 to where we can ask
Yeah.
for more.
Yeah, so don't worry.
So both the city and the county do support. It's just our contracts do with you.
Councillor Gullickson.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed that so much the other day. It was great to be out there and
Fantastic.
especially handing water bottles. I couldn't even keep up with them to chase them down to give them water, let alone run that distance. But no, it was very exciting and great to see that. The field is outstanding. And I'm glad to hear it's being used by people from Edmonton and Calgary and, well, actually all around the province. I'm sure they're taking a look at that and are envious of our facility. And it certainly is something that we should be proud of as a community. There's no doubt.
Councillor Hoekstra.
Thanks, Mayor Creasy. Yeah, thank you again for your commitment, long-time commitment to this organization. I was curious, I don't know if you can answer or the city can answer. You do have some in-kind funding support from the city here. One is your facility insurance. The other one was porta potties. What does that amount to in terms of already how you're supported? There's no amount that I can see. Does anybody know?
The city does know. It was in here, but I was told to take the money out. But
I guess that's information that I would like to see as well, because that's still, that's true dollars that we're still paying towards supporting the park.
Well, I think it's just cleaning them out. We own the porta potties, but you guys just service them. Like
Wonderful.
Yeah,
You get to do the nice part. Okay,
that's right.
anyhow.
You bring the honey truck. So I know for that. What was the insurance? Yeah. Don't remember. But I'll find that out for you.
Any other questions? We're waiting till the end of our presentations.
Hey, thank you.
We appreciate your time after an already long meeting.
Oh, it's been a tiring day. But thank you.
Thank you.
You might be out playing orange.
No.
Not up to your.
So Director Piche, I think that brings us down to item 6.2 for the draft 78 bylaw 78 rather draft revisions for the Municipal Police Commission bylaw. And so before you begin, I'm just going to ask one question. So we are anticipating some changes, updates, however you'd want to, some revisions from the province. Are we doing this work in a productive manner, or is this something that we should be waiting for?
No, the province has made their changes already, and the Police Act is actually new. I do have a copy of the new one, and I have a copy of the archived one. So, yeah, I've gone copy for copy as to what the changes are, and this is all current.
And they have implemented the final version?
Yes,
The
it
changes?
is. It is on the website and it is live. Yes.
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay, so the review of the Municipal Police Commission bylaw is part of the strategic plan, and the Lacombe Police Commission has also requested that this be performed to ensure that their roles and responsibilities are being met, as are the cities. So this evening, administration is going to familiarize council by reviewing the bylaw 778. And then on October 16th, council will meet with the Lacombe Police Commission at the Committee of the Whole meeting to collaborate any changes that may be suggested or recommended. As just mentioned, the Alberta Police Act will be a consideration factor as the changes to it affects the membership to the commission. And so tonight I was going to move through the bylaw section by section, and where there is information regarding the Police Act, I'll highlight any potential changes. So I'm not going to go through the preamble or the definitions or anything like that, but I'll start at the appointment of commission members. And currently the commission is comprised of 7 members. 6 are selected from the public and 1 from council. The council appoints 1 council member, and public members are appointed through a council resolution. Public members can serve 2 consecutive 3-year terms with the possibility of reappointment if at least 2/3 of the whole of council passes a resolution stating that a public member may be reappointed for more than 2 terms, but only to a maximum of 10 consecutive years. Public applications are to be forwarded to the chair of the commission from administration, which will undergo an evaluation and a ranking process. The commission then forwards and selects the applications to the mayor's office for review. And then applications are approved by the mayor and then ratified by council and forwarded back to the commission for information. All public members must be city residents and at least 18 years old. And public members will cease being a commission member if they cease being a resident, is hired by the service or any other law enforcement agency, does not meet any of the sections of the MGA of sections 170, 172, and 174, which is pecuniary interest, or failing to disclose pecuniary interest, or is a disqualified councillor. Council may terminate a member's appointment with cause, and the council will fill any vacancies by appointing a member for the remaining of the term. When a vacancy is created, council shall appoint a member to complete the remainder of the term of that appointment. So this is one section that will require some updating, as the Police Act states that the province may appoint members to the commission. Because we have 7 members on our police commission, the province has the ability to appoint up to 3 members to the commission. And that's per section 28, subsection 2.3 of the Police Act. And the province cannot appoint more than, the appointments from the province must be less than 50% of the total number of commission members. The very first meeting in January, the commission shall elect a chair and a vice chair from the public member. And then commission meetings, the meetings of the commission is required to conduct a minimum of 6 even distributed meetings throughout the year. And the chair can initiate a special meeting with 48 hours written notice, but with the agreement of at least 4 members, the notice can then be expedited of less than 48 hours. If the chair is unavailable or unwilling to call a special meeting upon request from the chief of police or 4 members, the secretary can call a meeting. Commission members may consider or transact any business, either special or general, at any meeting. And each member, including the chair, has only 1 vote on all matters subject to voting. For rules governing the meetings, currently 4 commission members will meet quorum for a meeting, and meetings shall be open to the public, and the commission may adopt any other additional rules and procedures governing the meetings and activities of the commission as long as they align with the Police Act or with the bylaw. This is another area that needs to be considered because the increase in additional members appointed from the province, council and the commission may wish to recalculate what they would consider as quorum. So when the chief attends meetings, so the chief of police or their delegate shall attend all commission meetings, but is not a voting member. And the chief may be excluded from in-camera sessions. The CAO attending meetings, the CAO may attend with written notice to the meeting or their delegate, and the CAO may, and with written notice and, let me restart. The CAO may attend a meeting with written notice or their assigned delegate. The secretary to the commission. In the absence of a commission-supported secretary, the council through resolution to the CAO will appoint a municipal employee as a secretary to the Lacombe Police Commission. The appointed secretary is responsible for attending all meetings, recording proceedings, and overseeing hearings. They are also tasked with managing and storing all records, correspondence, and documents at a location designated by the commission. And additionally, the secretary must fulfill the duties related to the position as required by the commission. However, the secretary is not a voting member and does not have voting privileges. Information to council. The approved meeting minutes of the portion of the commission meeting open to the public shall be accessible for public viewing. Council has the authority to request information deemed necessary to evaluate the efficiency and financial needs of the service. And in such responses, the chair is responsible for providing the required information to the mayor. The powers and the duties of the commission. The commission oversees the police service by allocating council-provided funds, establishing policies for efficient and effective policing, giving necessary instructions to the chief regarding policies, ensuring an adequate workforce, and monitoring compliance with and achieving the service's goals, objectives, and policies. The commission shall appoint the chief of police, with initial appointment being subject to ratification of the council. Appointment of members. The commission shall have the power to appoint members of the service other than the chief, but may by resolution delegate this responsibility to the chief. The commission shall submit a policing plan to the council for the following year, and it is required to detail the level of policing programs provided by the service. Each year, the commission must present to council the estimates for the upcoming fiscal year to pay wages, salaries, personnel costs of police officers and service employees, operational costs, and support capital purchases as envisioned by the commission. By December 31 each year, council shall determine the amount of funding that will be provided to the services for the next fiscal year. Upon confirmation of the budget from council, the commission shall adopt a budget allocating those funds. Authorizing of expenditures. Upon approval of the budget, the chief may authorize expenditures funds in accordance with the budget subject to the purchasing policy. Negotiation of the collective agreement. Now, council holds the authority to approve the collective agreement with the Lacombe Police Association as per the Police Officers Collective Bargaining Act. The negotiating committee responsible for these agreements comprises the CAO, Manager of Human Resources, and the Chief of Police. The commission is entitled to express its views and provide recommendations to the negotiating committee throughout the negotiating process. And finally, the commission is responsible for conducting an annual review and setting wages and salaries for police officers not covered by the Lacombe Police Association and other service employees. Additionally, the commission is tasked with establishing personnel policies for non-association staff position, ensuring consistency with policies set for other staff, city staff. And that is the real quick version of bylaw 78. If there are any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Thanks, Director Piche. Councillor Gullickson.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. Director Piche, you talked about 3 potential members being appointed by the province. Those are additional members to the board, so we would go to 10
That's correct.
potentially.
We could potentially go to 10.
And that's why we need to look at changing quorum as
That's
part of our,
Yeah,
okay,
currently quorum is set to 4. So usually quorum is going to be just above the halfway mark.
yes.
If we're sitting at 10 and quorum's still at 4, we should be at least at 6.
Okay, and now how do we know how many they're going to appoint to our board?
We don't as of this. I
It's just the
have not
process,
heard.
right?
Yes,
It's-
I know we have 1.
Yes.
There is 1 new member, but that is all we have at this
So
point.
currently we're at 8.
Yes.
So 4 would not work for quorum even now.
Correct.
So I was told by the minister over the weekend that we can expect another appointee
Okay.
early in the new year, rather.
So the appointees are an ongoing thing that we have no control of, correct?
We don't at this point, not as per the Police Act.
Okay, good. Thank you for that. Well, no. I don't want to say thank you for that.
Councillor Hoekstra.
Thanks, Mayor Creasy. Thank you for that summary. That was very well done considering what is all in the bylaw. Then the next page in the request for decision, we go into the Alberta Police Act, and it says in 2021, the province of Alberta modernized the Police Act, but that really wasn't completed till 2022. So you're just meaning that's when it was started? Okay, because the actual appendix that you've included here is actually dated April, I think, right, of 2023?
That's the most recent version, yes.
Right,
Yeah.
because so it's been tweaked a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you that we didn't see it till last December. But
I was just trying to go through the numbers in my head. So theoretically, then we'll have 9 people on the commission early in the new year. Well, then 1 less than 50% is 4. So we can look forward to another appointee then. And then we're at an even number again. It was explained far differently.
Yeah.
The first conversation that I had with the minister. So I look forward to some additional clarification. Because I think if we keep this up, we should be able to get some really large committees and expect far more work to be done that way. Anybody have any additional questions? Any motions for consideration? Councillor Hoekstra.
thanks, Mayor Creasy. I guess I do have an additional question. So we're presented with this information tonight. We were supposed to mull it over and be ready to ask questions at committee meeting. Is that kind of the idea here?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's planned to have a collaborative discussion with the Lacombe Police Commission in presence. Yeah.
Okay. I am prepared to make that motion if that's okay. I'll move that council accepts the Municipal Police Commission bylaw number 78 review report as information.
Thank you. Councillor Connick.
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. So I'm just checking the agenda here. This committee of a whole will be held here. Is that right? We're going to get everybody in this room, or are we going somewhere else?
It was anticipated to be here.
Okay, no, I'm just curious. Thank you.
Yeah.
I see no other lights on, so we'll go ahead and call the question. Please vote now. And that is unanimously in favor. Thank you. I believe that brings us down to item 7, 7.1 for notices of motion. Councillor Hoekstra, would you care to read your notice of motion?
Thank you, Mayor Creasy. I will. I move that council direct administration to draft a letter to the Honorable Rick McIver, Minister of Municipal Affairs, outlining concerns about amending the Local Authorities Election Act to allow for more political party influence in municipal politics. Further, that the letter requests information on the rationale and desired outcomes of any such amendments.
Thank you. Councillor Hoekstra.
I'm on a roll. I'll move that we move in camera.
Thank you. Clock shows 9:14. For the in-camera item, please vote now. Thanks. And that is unanimous as well. We're now in camera.